Minnesota is a land of water. Thousands of lakes shimmer under the summer sun, reflecting pine forests and endless skies. But some lakes are more than tranquil waters. They are gateways, places where the surface hides dark depths, and where shadows move just beneath the reflection. Travelers who venture too close at night speak of figures appearing on the shore. Whispers drift across the water. Boats rock when no one is aboard. Some who visit these lakes vanish, leaving only ripples behind. The locals speak quietly, warning the curious to stay away. Tonight, we will explore 25 haunted lakes in Minnesota, places where the waters remember, where the shadows wait, and where some never return. Take a deep breath, because these waters are cold, and the night is patient. Greetings, my friend. I hope tonight finds you somewhere safe, where the light pushes back the dark, and your heart is ready to listen carefully to the stories that will cling to you long after. Minnesota is famous for its lakes, but some are not just bodies of water. They are mirrors of the past, gateways to tragedies, and home to restless spirits. The haunted lakes we are about to visit have histories steeped in disappearance, sorrow, and mystery. Visitors hear whispers across the water. Some feel icy fingers brush their arms. Some see figures standing silently on the shore, or moving beneath the water with a light that is not natural. Every lake has a story. Every shadow has a secret. And every splash, every ripple, may hide something unseen. Before we dive deeper into the darkness of these haunted waters, I want to ask you a question. If you could visit one of these haunted lakes alone at midnight, would you dare to peer into the water? And what would you hope or fear to see beneath the surface? Share your answer in the comments. And let us explore the shadows together tonight. Lake Bemidji lies quietly in Beltrami County, its surface reflecting the night sky like a dark, glassy mirror. As the sun disappears beyond the horizon, the lake takes on a different character, one that is both serene and strangely alive. Shadows shift across the water, forming shapes that seem almost human in their movement, yet vanish the instant they are approached. The gentle ripple of waves can conceal 1,000 secrets, and the stillness amplifies the smallest sounds, turning a distant splash into a heartbeat in the night. Boats anchored along the shore sometimes rock as if moved by unseen hands. The wind may be still, and the water calm. Yet the vessels sway, tipping lightly as if acknowledging a presence nearby. Visitors often pause, hearts quickening, trying to catch sight of what could be behind the motion. Only to find the lake calm again, its surface once more smooth and unbroken. Figures have been seen standing silently along the shore. Pale and still, they appear almost as reflections of the moonlight, yet their posture and shape are unmistakably human. Some vanish before a closer look can be taken, leaving only the sense that something was there, watching, waiting. The air around the lake carries a weight, subtle but persistent, a feeling that the past lingers within the water and along its banks. The soundscape of Lake Bemidji at night is eerie and layered. Water laps softly against the shore, and occasionally a distant call of wildlife pierces the darkness. Underneath these natural sounds, visitors sometimes hear whispers that seem to rise from the water itself. They are soft at first, almost imperceptible, yet they grow in intensity when one stands still, listening, as if the lake itself is trying to communicate its hidden stories. Fog often drifts across the lake, blurring the line between water and sky. Shapes emerge from the mist, only to vanish when approached, leaving a sense of disorientation and quiet awe. The fog thickens the air, lending each sound and shadow an air of significance, and making every movement across the water seem imbued with intention. A paddle against the lake may produce more than a ripple. It may stir echoes of the past or awaken the lingering presence that watches quietly from the shore. Visitors have reported cold touches along the water's edge, subtle and fleeting, like fingers brushing an arm. The sensation is never threatening, yet it is unmistakable, a reminder that the lake is not merely a body of water, but a space where natural and unseen forces intersect. Each ripple, shadow, and whispered sound contributes to the atmosphere, creating a sense of being part of something larger, unseen, and eternal. At times, the lake seems to take on the quality of a mirror, reflecting not just the sky but the presence of those who have come before. Figures of old fishermen, travelers, or even children long vanished may appear along the edges of vision, their movement subtle, almost dreamlike. The reflections are never clear enough to fully comprehend, leaving only a lingering impression, a suggestion of history and mystery folded into the waters of the lake. Even in the daytime, the memory of night at Lake Bemidji can linger in the minds of those who have experienced it. The stillness, the subtle motions of boats, and the shadows that move just out of reach combine to form a narrative that is at once personal and universal. The stillness, the subtle motions of boats, and the shadows that move just out of reach combine to form a narrative that is at once personal and universal. The lake seems to preserve time within its depths, keeping watch over its visitors and the stories they leave behind, storing secrets in the darkness where they cannot easily be retrieved. The lake seems to preserve time within its depths, keeping watch over its visitors and the stories they leave behind, storing secrets in the darkness where they cannot easily be retrieved. The lake seems to preserve time within its depths, keeping watch over its visitors and the stories they leave behind, storing secrets in the darkness where they cannot easily be retrieved. Walking along the shoreline at night, one may feel the presence of these shadows more keenly. Each step crunching on gravel or sand is amplified in the quiet. And the mind becomes alert to the faintest changes in light or movement. The moon casts silver streaks across the surface, revealing fleeting forms that disappear as quickly as they are seen. Every sighting reinforces the sense that Lake Bemidji is alive with memory, observation, and perhaps intention. A living tableau of the unseen. The lake also has a rhythm of its own. Water moves gently, responding to forces beyond what is visible. Even the calmest nights carry small, inexplicable ripples, as if the lake is breathing or shifting in time with a hidden pulse. The interaction between wind, water, fog, and shadow creates an environment that is immersive, reflective, and subtly unnerving. Those who linger too long become attuned to the language of the lake, understanding that each flicker of shadow or shift of water is part of a story that spans generations. For some, the haunting is visual, for others it is felt in sensation. The gentle rocking of a boat. The brush of cold air along the skin. The fleeting glimpse of a pale figure on the shore. All combine to form an experience that engages the senses fully. The lake does not shout its secrets but offers them quietly. To those willing to observe and listen. It creates a space where imagination and reality intersect. And where visitors come to know the presence of something enduring, patient, and watchful. Night deepens, and the lake becomes a vast canvas of shadow and reflection. Figures, whispers, and subtle movements blend into a living scene, each moment unfolding without explanation. The fog thickens, and the shorelines blur, making it difficult to distinguish between land and water, between what is real and what is sensed. It is a place where time feels suspended, and the boundary between the natural world and the unseen grows thin. A sense of impending doom and madness settles over the figures, as they move closer to the lake's edge. Lake Bemidji keeps its secrets well. It is patient, quiet, and persistent, carrying the echoes of countless nights and countless visitors within its depths. Those who approach are touched by its presence, glimpsing figures, sensing whispers, and feeling the weight of something beyond the ordinary. Yet the lake never reveals all at once. Its mysteries remain partially hidden, a living testament to the unseen forces that linger in Beltrami County. Visitors leave the lake carrying a memory of shadow, mist, and water. They recall the boats that rock without wind. The figures that vanish when approached. And the sense that the lake watches and waits. Lake Bemidji is more than a body of water. It is a keeper of stories. A silent witness to the past. And a place where the boundaries between the seen and unseen dissolve, leaving only the quiet presence of mystery lingering in the dark. White Bear Lake lies quietly in Ramsey County, its surface reflecting the shifting skies and the dense forests that border it. By day, it appears serene, a place for fishing, boating, and quiet reflection. Yet locals speak of a presence that lingers just beneath the calm surface, a girl who vanished decades ago, whose story is whispered along the shore and carried on the wind. As night falls, the lake transforms. Mist rises from the water, curling over the shoreline and threading through the trees. It is during these hours that visitors report the first signs of the unexplained. Faint singing drifts across the lake, soft and melodic, seeming to come from no particular direction. The voice is ethereal, both near and impossibly distant, and it fades as quickly as it appears, leaving a haunting impression in the minds of those who hear it. Boats anchored along the shore sometimes move on their own. They drift slowly across the water, untethered and unpiloted, as if guided by an unseen hand. The gentle rocking is subtle at first, almost imperceptible, yet persistent, a quiet reminder that the lake does not entirely belong to the living. Visitors report a sense of being watched, an awareness that something lingers just beyond the edge of sight. Along the shoreline, the trees seem to hold their breath. The wind carries whispers through the branches, and faint cries echo across the water, fading into the surrounding forests. These sounds are never harsh or violent, but their effect is deeply unsettling, drawing the attention of anyone present, and leaving a lingering tension in the air. The history of White Bear Lake is intertwined with these experiences. Decades ago, a young girl disappeared without a trace. Her absence left an unspoken void, one that locals say continues to manifest in small, inexplicable ways. Some believe her presence is protective, others feel a deep sadness in her lingering spirit. Regardless, the accounts are consistent as shadows that move too quickly to be natural, sounds that have no source, and a sense of being followed by unseen eyes. Visitors often describe moments of acute awareness at the water's edge. The surface of the lake can appear still, yet there is an underlying energy, a subtle movement that suggests life beyond the visible. Ripples appear without cause, mist shifts unnaturally, and the air carries an almost imperceptible chill. These details accumulate, creating an atmosphere that is both serene and unsettling, peaceful yet heavy with expectation. The forests bordering the lake contribute to the mysterious atmosphere. Dark trunks rise along the shoreline, their branches forming shadowed corridors through which no human has passed in decades. Whispers and faint cries seem to originate from these wooded areas, echoing across the water and intertwining with the sounds of the lake itself. Visitors report a sense of presence moving among the trees, glimpses of figures that vanish when approached, leaving only the impression of another observer. At night, the lake's surface can appear alive. Reflections distort in unusual ways, shadows stretch across the water in impossible directions. And the singing grows more distinct to those willing to listen. The combination of mist, moonlight, and still water creates an environment that is both beautiful and unnerving. Every movement on the lake, every subtle sound, seems significant, carrying the weight of memories long past. Even during daylight, the lingering presence can be felt. The lake seems to hold the memory of the girl, as if the water itself remembers her absence. Small ripples, shifting currents, and the quiet movement of wildlife all contribute to a sense that the natural world around White Bear Lake is aware of its history. Visitors often pause, sensing an unseen presence observing them from the water or the trees, acknowledging them without revealing itself fully. Locals speak of patterns, moments when the lake is most active. Early morning fog, late evening twilight, and particularly still nights often coincide with unexplained phenomena. Faint singing, drifting boats, and soft cries are reported most frequently during these hours, creating an intimate connection between the environment and the lingering spirit. Those who experience it often describe a mixture of awe and unease, drawn in by the beauty of the scene yet unsettled by the inexplicable. White Bear Lake remains a place where history and mystery converge. The disappearance of the girl left a subtle mark, one that has persisted through decades, shaping the experiences of those who visit. The lake itself becomes a stage for the intersection of the natural and the supernatural, where mist, shadows, and echoes of the past create a living, breathing story that unfolds quietly for anyone who ventures close enough to notice. Walking along the shore, the sense of presence is nearly tangible. Ripples move against the current, distant singing drifts on the wind. And shadows play across the forest edge. The air carries a chill, the kind that moves through clothing and settles in the bones. Each visitor leaves with a lasting impression, a memory that lingers long after departing. Of a lake that is far more than a simple body of water. White Bear Lake continues to hold its secrets. It is a place where the past is never fully gone. Where unseen eyes watch from the shadows. And where whispers carry stories of loss and longing across the still waters. Visitors are drawn to its beauty. Yet they leave with a heightened awareness. A knowledge that the lake is alive with memory, presence, and mystery. The experience is subtle, immersive, and unforgettable. An encounter with a place where history and the unexplained exist side by side. Quietly shaping every moment along the shore. In the quiet of night, when mist drifts across the water and the forest falls silent, the lake seems to breathe. Every ripple, every whisper, and every faint figure becomes part of the enduring story of White Bear Lake. A place where memory lingers, and the line between the living and the unseen blurs in the most haunting and beautiful ways. Lake Mille Lacs stretches across Crow Wing County, vast and shimmering, its waters reflecting the sky by day and fading into shadows by night. Has long been a destination for anglers and explorers, yet beneath its placid surface, stories of lost travelers and unexplained phenomena linger. Yet beneath its placid surface, stories of lost travelers and unexplained phenomena linger. Visitors often speak of a sense of timelessness when standing at its edge, as if the lake itself holds memories of the past and quietly observes all who approach. As if the lake itself holds memories of the past and quietly observes all who approach. And quietly observes all who approach. Figures sometimes appear along the shoreline, pale and indistinct, vanishing before they can be reached. They emerge from the fog or the reflection of moonlight on the water, lingering at the periphery of vision. Some witnesses describe them as watching silently, standing still while the lake laps gently against the sand, before disappearing as suddenly as they arrived. The fleeting nature of these appearances leaves a lingering unease, a reminder that the lake holds more than its natural beauty. Those fishing along the shore often report an unnerving sensation, the feeling of unseen hands tugging at clothing or gear. It is subtle at first, a brush against an arm or a gentle pull at a jacket, enough to draw attention without revealing any source. The experience is brief but persistent, creating an awareness that something invisible moves among the reeds and along the water's edge. Anglers find themselves scanning the horizon and the waves, uncertain whether to attribute the sensation to the wind, a passing animal, or the lake's mysterious presence. Boats are not immune to the Lakia's strange activity. Visitors sometimes notice vessels drifting or rocking without wind or current. A paddle left unattended may begin to turn, as though guided by an unseen hand. Canoes and small fishing boats can move slowly across the water, gliding silently toward areas where no one is rowing or steering. The movements are subtle, yet unmistakable, reinforcing the feeling that Lake Mille Lacs is a living entity, one that interacts with those who venture upon it. The lake's atmosphere is particularly heavy during the early morning and late evening, when fog clings to the water's surface. Light fades into muted grays. The lapping of waves can resemble whispering voices. And the call of a distant bird may echo like a mournful cry. Those who spend time alone on the lake often describe a profound quiet interrupted only by the subtle disturbances that suggest the presence of something unseen. Legends of lost travelers circulate among locals and visitors alike. Tales speak of fishermen, hikers, and explorers who ventured too far and were never seen again. Some recount glimpses of these lost souls, appearing briefly on the banks or in the shallows, their figures blurry and incomplete. The stories warn of the lake's depth not just in water, but in mystery, carrying the weight of memory and the echoes of lives once lived along its shores. The surrounding landscape enhances the lake's mystique. Pine forests line the edges, their branches whispering with the wind and casting shifting shadows. Small coves and inlets offer seclusion and the perfect setting for an unexpected sighting. Visitors walking along narrow paths or fishing from quiet banks often experience a heightened awareness. Every ripple in the water and rustle of leaves taking on new meaning. The interplay of light, shadow, and sound creates an environment where imagination and reality blur, allowing the lake's stories to feel tangible. At night, the lake becomes a canvas for phenomena that challenge perception. Reflections shimmer oddly on the water, and the shapes of distant figures appear and dissolve like smoke. Sounds travel farther, carrying the faintest notes of whispers and footsteps across the still water. Some report glimpsing faint lights moving beneath the surface. Elusive and fleeting, as if the lake itself harbors memories that cannot be confined to land or water. These experiences are subtle yet persistent, leaving a sense of awe and caution among those who witness them. Lake Mille Lacs is not merely a body of water. It is a repository of stories, an ever-present observer that interacts with those who approach its shores. Figures on the beach, tugging sensations, boats that drift without cause, and the ambient whispers of wind and water all combine to create an immersive experience that captivates and unnerves. Each visitor carries away impressions that linger long after the trip, a mixture of wonder and unease that speaks to the Lake's enduring presence. A mixture of wonder and unease that speaks to the Lake's enduring presence. The lake's vastness and isolation amplify its enigmatic qualities. Mist rolls across the surface, obscuring shapes and altering perspective. Waves lap gently yet rhythmically, and shadows lengthen and shift unpredictably. In these conditions, even the most ordinary events take on a haunting quality. A branch floating downstream, a ripple in the water, or a passing deer can be interpreted as part of the lake's subtle, ongoing narrative, adding layers to the sense of mystery. In the end, Lake Mille Lacs remains a place where the natural and the unexplained coexist. Its surface reflects the sky, yet beneath and around it lies a realm where figures, whispers, and unseen movements are part of the experience. Those who visit the lake find themselves immersed in its quiet drama, aware of every sound, every ripple, and every fleeting shadow. The lake draws them into its stories, allowing a connection to a past that is felt more than seen, leaving an indelible mark that lingers long after they depart. Visitors leave with the memory of figures vanishing along the shore, the subtle tug of invisible hands, and boats moving without guidance. The sense of being observed, the whispers of the water, and the timeless quality of the Lake's presence combine to create a compelling and mysterious atmosphere. Lake Mille Lacs continues to hold its secrets, a massive expanse of water and wonder where the stories of lost travelers, unseen forces, and fleeting figures remain alive, waiting for the next witness to encounter its quiet, haunting beauty. Lake Calhoun rests quietly in Hennepin County, its waters reflecting the soft glow of the city lights during the evening hours. By day, the lake is a haven for walkers, rowers, and families enjoying the open space. But as darkness descends, the serene surface transforms, revealing a presence that unsettles even the most skeptical visitors. Shadows begin to dance across the water, subtle at first, like disturbances in a calm reflection. They move independently of the breeze or any passing wildlife. Observers have described shapes that seem almost human, hovering just beneath the surface, shifting in ways that defy explanation. Some have reported catching glimpses of faces, pale and expressionless, staring upward as if trying to communicate with those above the water. The sounds around the lake add to the mystery. Faint whispers drift across the shoreline, echoing in the stillness without identifiable sources. Laughter sometimes follows, low and distant, carrying an uncanny quality that causes visitors to pause and search for its origin. Even experienced night watchers find themselves feeling watched, as if the lake itself holds eyes that trace every movement along its edge. Ripples appear in areas of the lake where no wind stirs the surface. A cast stone or dropped leaf cannot account for the undulations that form and vanish without trace. The water seems alive with unseen activity, creating an atmosphere of tension that grows with the darkening sky. Visitors have shared stories of moments when the lake appears perfectly still, only to suddenly shift as if disturbed by invisible hands. The shoreline itself becomes part of the spectral experience. Fog sometimes rises from the surface, thick and cold, amplifying the feeling of isolation. Footsteps along the sand or gravel are muffled by the mist, making each movement uncertain and adding to the sense that one is intruding on a secret world. Boaters who venture onto the lake at night often describe an overwhelming stillness punctuated by sudden, inexplicable movements. Shadows ripple under their vessels, yet no fish or current could account for the disturbances. At times, the water reflects a presence beside them, a figure that is gone the moment it is directly observed. These fleeting glimpses leave an impression that the lake holds memories, lingering long after the observers leave the shore. The combination of sight, sound, and sensation creates a multi-layered experience. Visitors describe the subtle chill that descends with the shadows, a cold that seems to rise directly from the water rather than the night air. It moves around them unpredictably, brushing past shoulders or fingertips, heightening the awareness that the lake is far more than a tranquil body of water. As the night deepens, the intensity grows. The faces beneath the surface become more distinct to some, their expressions silent and unyielding. The whispers shift in tone, at times sounding like conversations from another time. Ripples form in patterns that seem purposeful, as if the lake is trying to communicate through movement rather than words. Each sensation is fleeting, leaving a lingering curiosity and unease in its wake. Lake Calhoun at night is a study in contrasts. By day, it is familiar and comforting, yet under the cover of darkness, it reveals a hidden life that captivates and unsettles. The lake seems to blur the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural, offering a space where reality feels fluid and perception is heightened. Visitors are left questioning what they saw, what they felt, and what remains unseen beneath the calm surface. Even when departing, the lake holds a presence that lingers in memory. Reflections on the water, whispers along the shore, and ripples in still areas form a tapestry of experience that is difficult to shake. Some return night after night, drawn by curiosity, hoping to understand the forces at play. Others leave quickly, unsettled, and aware that Lake Calhoun guards its mysteries closely, revealing them only to those who venture near. When darkness falls, the lake's beauty and tranquility coexist with its haunting phenomena, creating a layered narrative of place and presence. It is a setting where natural elements, spectral figures, and human perception converge, offering an unforgettable encounter for those willing to explore its depths. Lake Calhoun is more than a landmark, it is a stage for the mysterious, a mirror reflecting both the visible world and the unseen that dwells beneath the surface. As dawn breaks, the shadows retreat, the whispers fade, and the water returns to its daytime serenity. Yet the impressions remain, etched in the minds of those who witnessed the nocturnal activity. Lake Calhoun continues to hold its secrets, a silent witness to the interplay of light and dark, seen and unseen, known and unknowable. Those who visit after nightfall carry with them a story that lingers, a reminder that beneath its calm surface, the lake is alive with hidden presences that watch, whisper, and ripple in ways that defy explanation. Lake of the Woods stretches wide across Koochiching County, its surface reflecting the dense forests that hug its edges. As night falls, mist rises from the water, curling around the trees and cloaking the shoreline in a soft, ghostly haze. The stillness of the lake is absolute, yet beneath it lies a presence that is both quiet and persistent, a subtle awareness that the woods and water are never truly empty. Figures have been seen along the edges of misty coves, their forms fleeting and indistinct. When approached, they vanish, leaving only the sense that some Ania or some Thinga was there, watching. Boats moored along the shore sometimes rock without wind or current. Oars lift as if handled by invisible hands, dipping into the water and creating ripples that expand across the lake. The motion is subtle, almost hypnotic, yet impossible to ignore. Those who witness it often hold their breath, uncertain whether to investigate or step back. Each ripple seems deliberate, as if the lake itself is alive and capable of interaction. Crying or calling sounds occasionally echo across the water, distant yet clear. They vanish as soon as they are noticed, leaving a lingering chill. Some believe these are echoes of lost travelers, voices caught between the world of the living and the realm beyond. Others say they are the Lakia's own memory, a recording of sorrow and longing imprinted upon its surface, waiting for the right ears to hear. The forest surrounding the lake contributes to the sense of isolation. Sounds travel strangely through this environment, footsteps muffled by moss and needles, rustling leaves amplified into whispers. The mist mingles with these sounds, adding depth and uncertainty, so that a single noise can seem like a conversation between unseen presences. At times, reflections on the water appear unusual. Shapes emerge, darker than the night, moving independently of the surrounding waves. Observers note that these shadows mimic no natural movement, suggesting forms that are aware of their watchers. They shift, pause, and disappear, often leaving the viewer questioning whether what they saw was real or imagined. The ambiguity heightens the tension, making the lake both mesmerizing and unnerving. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation. Even during calm nights, the water seems to breathe. Subtle movements suggesting a hidden current beneath the surface. The air is cool and damp, carrying scents of pine, wet earth, and the faint tang of cold water. Visitors often describe an overwhelming sensation of being part of the landscape, yet apart from it. As though the lake and forest are aware of every thought and movement. At dawn, the lake appears tranquil, the mist lifting and sunlight scattering across the surface. Yet the memories of the night linger. Boats that moved on their own, figures glimpsed along the coves, and cries that vanished into the air remain etched in the minds of those who witnessed them. Lake of the Woods holds its secrets carefully, revealing just enough to intrigue, but never fully explaining. Exploring the shorelines, one may notice small, unexplained phenomena. Pebbles shift along the water's edge without cause. Branches bend slightly, as though brushed by passing forms. Even the birds seem aware, their sudden flights and quiet calls adding layers to the sense of unseen life. These subtle details contribute to a narrative that is experienced more than explained, a story told in sensation, shadow, and silence. Visitors often report feeling chills that have no source. A sudden coldness brushes along arms or necks, an invisible presence that makes the hair stand on end. These moments are brief, yet powerful, creating a visceral connection to the unseen forces at work. Combined with the visual phenomena and auditory experiences, they reinforce the idea that Lake of the Woods is a threshold, a place where the living and the hidden intersect. Night deepens, and the lake becomes a canvas of shadow and reflection. Mist rolls over the water like slow-moving clouds, shapes form and vanish within it. And the sounds of the forest are magnified in the still air. Every step along the shoreline, every ripple of the water, and every shifting shadow contributes to the sense of being immersed in a living story. Here, observation is both a privilege and a reminder of the unknown. The Lake's vastness amplifies its mystery. With miles of shoreline, countless coves, and dense forests. There are places where the presence is strongest. And others where it is almost imperceptible. Travelers who venture deeper into the woods or farther across the water often return with stories of encounters, glimpses, and sensations that defy easy explanation. The sense of isolation enhances the impact, creating moments where imagination and reality blend seamlessly. Lake of the Woods keeps its secrets beneath the mist and among the trees. Figures appear, boats move, and voices echo, yet no definitive answers are offered. Each phenomenon is fleeting, leaving witnesses with questions and memories that linger long after they leave. The lake is a repository of stories, a living archive of shadows, whispers, and subtle movements that hint at the unseen. Those who visit understand that this is a place apart from ordinary experience. The combination of water, forest, mist, and shadow creates an environment that is immersive and enigmatic. Each night offers a new perspective, a fresh set of encounters, and the ever-present feeling that the lake is aware, watching, and waiting. In the end, Lake of the Woods is a place where boundaries dissolve. The living walk among the echoes of the past. The water reflects more than the sky. And the forests shelter both mystery and memory. Visitors leave with the sensation of having glimpsed something beyond the ordinary. A connection to a world that exists quietly, persistently, and just out of reach. Waiting in the mist and shadows for those willing to see. Lake Pepin stretches quietly along the border of Pierce County, its waters calm and reflective, framed by gentle bluffs and the dense forests that line the shore. By day, it is a place of fishing and boating, where sunlight dances across the surface and the wind ripples through the trees. Yet beneath its serene appearance, whispers of the past linger, carried on the breeze and reflected in the still waters. Visitors have long reported strange occurrences along the banks. Figures sometimes appear silently, standing as if waiting for something long forgotten. They are seen in the corner of the eye, disappearing when looked at directly, leaving only the impression of presence. The air near the shore often carries a subtle unease, a feeling that the lake remembers those who have walked its edges before. At twilight, the atmosphere deepens. Soft laughter drifts across the water, faint and distant, mingling with the gentle lapping of waves. Footsteps can be heard along the sand and gravel, though no living person walks there. The sounds are ephemeral, blending with the environment, yet they leave a lingering sensation of being observed, of something unseen moving through the shadows. The water itself has a way of revealing echoes of the past. Reflections on the lake sometimes display figures that are no longer alive. Shapes form beneath the surface or along the shoreline, appearing with startling clarity before fading into ripples. These visions are fleeting, yet they are enough to unsettle anyone who witnesses them, a reminder that the line between the present and the past is thinner here than elsewhere. Boaters have experienced other inexplicable phenomena. A gentle tug beneath the vessel can occur even on the calmest days. As if something underwater reaches out, curious or restless. The sensation is subtle at first, a light pull against the hull. But persistent, prompting those aboard to scan the water nervously. The surface appears still, yet the underlying tension suggests that the lake is not entirely a passive observer. The history of Lake Pepin is intertwined with these experiences. The lake has long been a site of human activity. And with centuries of use and occasional tragedy, stories of lost lives and unexplained events have accumulated. Locals speak of accidents, drownings, and mysterious disappearances. And many believe the lake has absorbed these memories, holding them in a way that allows fleeting glimpses into what was. In a way that allows fleeting glimpses into what was. And many believe the lake has absorbed these memories, holding them in a way that allows fleeting glimpses into what was, and allowing us to catch glimpses of the past. But at what cost? The price of knowledge is steep, and the cost of curiosity is even higher. The lake secrets are not for the faint of heart. Along the shoreline, trees and bluffs create shadowed areas that seem to amplify the supernatural. Figures emerge from the darkness for a moment before vanishing, blending into the terrain as though they were never there. The echoes of footsteps and laughter often appear in these shadowed spaces, disembodied yet recognizable, and they heighten the sense that the lake is alive with memory. Visitors who linger after sunset notice how the environment changes subtly. Ripples form on otherwise still waters, and mist can rise from the lake, twisting and curling in patterns that seem intentional. Every detail, from the movement of a leaf to the flicker of light on the water, contributes to an atmosphere that is simultaneously beautiful and unsettling. The lake's reputation has drawn the curious and the wary alike. Those who seek its beauty are often confronted with its mystery. And the combination of natural charm and unexplained phenomena leaves a lasting impression. Walking along the banks, one can feel the weight of history in the air, sense the presence of others who have come before, and experience the delicate balance between the visible world and the unseen. At night, the experiences become more pronounced. Figures appear along the shoreline, their forms clear for a moment before fading into darkness. Soft sounds continue to echo, laughter blending with the gentle ripple of the lake and the rustling of the forest. Boats moored on the water seem to move slightly without reason, and the occasional tug beneath the hull reminds visitors that the lake is not entirely under human control. Even in daylight, the lake carries an intangible weight. The surface glistens in sunlight, yet shadows shift in ways that seem impossible. Small ripples appear without wind. Reflections distort subtly, and the air can carry a sudden chill. These minor anomalies create a sense of awareness, a feeling that the lake is more than water and land. That it is a repository for the memories and presences that have gathered here over time. Those who spend time on Lake Pepin leave with a lingering impression. The combination of beauty, history, and subtle supernatural activity makes it unforgettable. The lake is alive with echoes, with figures that appear and vanish, with sounds that are heard yet untraceable, and with sensations that remind visitors of the delicate veil between the living and the unseen. Walking along the banks at sunset or nightfall, the mist rising from the water, the rustle of leaves, and the gentle lapping of waves create a cinematic tableau. Each moment is imbued with a sense of presence, as if unseen eyes watch and as if the lake itself holds a story it will never fully reveal. Visitors may see fleeting shapes, hear faint laughter, feel a tug beneath a boat, or catch glimpses of reflections that belong to the past. And each experience reinforces the enduring mystery of Lake Pepin. The lake is a place of convergence, where natural beauty meets the unseen. Every ripple, every shadow, every whisper becomes part of the story, a story of lives once present, and memories that refuse to fade. Lake Pepin remains a space where history and mystery flow together, where the living and the departed brush against one another, and where the edge of the water is a threshold into the inexplicable. A place that leaves a lasting impression long after leaving the shore. Lake Minnetonka stretches across Hennepin County, its waters glistening under the midday sun, and fading to shadowed depths as evening falls. The lake is known for its scenic beauty, dotted with coves and islands, yet beneath its calm surface lies a reputation for the unexplained. Visitors often speak of a sense of unease when venturing to its quieter areas, where the water darkens and the shoreline grows secluded. Some witnesses report seeing shadowy figures moving beneath the water. They appear just below the surface, shapes that shift and twist, disappearing when approached. Leaving no trace, yet they create a profound sense that the lake holds secrets hidden from the casual observer. The sensation of being watched, a silent presence that seems to follow their every movement as they traverse the lake. Whispers often echo across the coves at night. The sounds are subtle at first, carried faintly on the wind or reflected from the water. They resemble conversations, hushed and indistinct, impossible to trace to any human source. Some who linger along the shoreline hear repeated syllables or names, soft enough to be mistaken for imagination, yet persistent enough to leave a lasting impression. These whispers create an atmosphere that is both mesmerizing and unsettling, drawing visitors deeper into the Lakia's mysterious ambience. Boats have been observed drifting as if guided by unseen forces. Canoes and small motorboats sometimes move across the water without wind or current, their paths smooth and deliberate. Paddles left in the water may rotate slowly, as if an invisible hand is steering. Anglers report their boats shifting positions despite calm conditions, creating a sense that the lake itself is alive, responding to the presence of those who venture upon it. The surrounding landscape amplifies the lake's enigmatic qualities. Forested banks cast long shadows across the water. Islands provide secluded spots where the natural and the unexplained intersect. During twilight, mist rises from the lake, softening the horizon and creating shapes that seem almost human. Visitors walking along trails or fishing from docks often experience heightened awareness. Every ripple in the water and every rustle of leaves taking on new significance. At night, Lake Minnetonka transforms. Faint lights sometimes appear beneath the waves, flickering briefly before vanishing. Sounds carry farther across the still water, making every creak of a dock or splash of a fish seem amplified. Shadows along the shoreline stretch unnaturally, suggesting figures moving just out of reach. The lake becomes a stage for the interplay of light, sound, and perception, where imagination and reality merge. Legends of lost travelers and unseen presences surround the lake. Stories tell of individuals who disappeared while exploring its coves, leaving only whispers and fleeting glimpses of shadowy forms. Some recount encounters with figures that emerge at the water's edge, vanish when approached, and seem to watch silently from islands or the shallows. These accounts reinforce the lake's reputation as a place where the past and present converge, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary under the weight of unseen forces. The lake's atmosphere is particularly heavy in the early morning and late evening. Fog rises from the surface, cloaking the shoreline and creating an eerie silence. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Every sound, every movement is amplified by the stillness, leaving visitors both captivated and cautious. Even ordinary events take on a haunting quality. The movement of a branch, a ripple in the water, or the call of a distant bird can feel like a message from the lake itself. Those who spend time on Lake Minnetonka often describe the experience as immersive and unsettling. Shadowy figures beneath the water, whispers in the coves, and drifting boats combine to create a narrative that is both compelling and mysterious. Each encounter leaves a lasting impression, a reminder that the lake is more than a scenic destination. It is a place where unseen forces linger, where the environment interacts subtly with those who traverse its waters. The vastness and seclusion of Lake Minnetonka contribute to its mystique. Mist and darkness obscure the horizon, making familiar landmarks seem unfamiliar. Shapes emerge from the water or behind trees, only to dissolve into the mist. Subtle disturbances, such as ripples, moving shadows, or faint sounds, heighten the sense of presence, leaving visitors aware that the lake is not entirely passive. Each experience reinforces the feeling that the lake has a consciousness of its own, quietly observing all who approach. Ultimately, Lake Minnetonka remains a place of beauty and mystery. Its waters reflect the sky while hiding depths filled with unknown entities and unexplained phenomena. Shadowy figures, drifting boats, and whispered sounds combine to create an environment that captivates the imagination and challenges perception. Visitors leave with memories of fleeting glimpses, sensations of unseen presences, and an awareness of the Lakia's enduring enigma, a haunting beauty that lingers long after they depart. The stories and experiences of Lake Minnetonka remind those who visit that the lake is more than a body of water. It is a living, breathing environment where shadow and light, sound and silence, past and present converge. Figures beneath the water, whispers across the coves, and the subtle movement of boats all create a narrative that is both atmospheric and immersive. The lake holds its secrets quietly, revealing them only to those who take the time to observe, listen, and feel. Leaving a lasting impression that blends wonder, curiosity, and a touch of unease. Leech Lake stretches quietly across Cass County, its waters reflecting the fading light of the day. By afternoon, families and fishermen frequent its shores, enjoying the calm and natural beauty. Yet, as night descends, the atmosphere transforms. The lake holds a presence that is subtle but undeniable, a feeling that draws attention to shadows along the water's edge and the dense tree lines that surround it. Visitors often speak of figures appearing at the tree line. At first, they might seem like distant hikers or fishermen. But as one approaches, the figures remain still, unerringly composed. Blending seamlessly with the darkened forest. Their gaze seems fixed, yet they leave no footprints or traces. Vanishing if approached too closely. The dock becomes a focal point of unease. Some report icy touches brushing against their arms, fleeting but tangible. The chill moves in sudden gusts, unconnected to the wind. Leaving a sensation of being watched even in the open air. Boats left tied to the shore occasionally rock without cause. And ripples appear on the still surface. As though unseen hands or forces are disturbing the water. Whispers drift across the lake, soft and unintelligible. At times, they sound like fragments of conversations from the past. Carrying through the mist that often rises at night. The sound is never clear, never identifiable. Yet it creates a palpable tension. Visitors instinctively pause, listening intently. Aware that something unseen moves in the shadows between the trees and across the water. The surrounding forest amplifies the eerie atmosphere. Moonlight glimmers through the leaves, casting patterns that shift and sway, making the tree line appear alive. Shadows lengthen unnaturally, stretching toward the water and dock, creating the sense that the figures at the edge are not alone but part of a larger, unseen presence. Every movement is magnified, every sound intensified, making it impossible to fully trust perception. Those who venture onto the water in small boats report additional phenomena. Ripples form where no breeze exists. And the surface occasionally reflects shapes that seem almost human before disappearing. Some see dark forms moving just beneath the water, vanishing the instant they focus their gaze. The experience is disorienting. As if the lake itself has a consciousness. Observing and interacting with those who enter its domain. The sensations are not limited to sight and sound. A coldness moves unpredictably across the dock and shoreline, brushing past ankles and hands, creating goosebumps even in warm weather. Visitors often describe a sudden weight in the air, a heaviness that presses down as they stand at the water's edge. The effect is cumulative, growing more intense the longer one remains, until a nervous energy compels departure. Despite the unsettling experiences, the beauty of Leech Lake persists. Its waters glimmer under starlight, and the forest remains lush and vibrant. The lake holds a duality, offering both serenity and unease. A reminder that places of natural wonder can also harbor mysteries beyond understanding. Visitors often leave with a mixture of awe and apprehension, carrying the memory of the whispers, ripples, and fleeting figures, long after they have returned to the safety of solid ground. The stories surrounding Leech Lake are as varied as the visitors themselves. Some see figures dressed in outdated clothing, hinting at lives once connected to the land. Others feel a presence that is less human, more elemental, tied to the forest, water, and wind. Each account contributes to a larger narrative of place and presence, suggesting that the lake is a repository of memory, a space where the past lingers just beneath the surface of the everyday. Nightfall intensifies the lake's mystique. Mist rises from the water, obscuring the shore and blurring the boundary between land and lake. The figures at the tree line become more distinct to some, or more elusive to others, challenging the mind to distinguish between imagination and reality. Whispers grow louder for brief moments, then fade into the sound of lapping water and the occasional call of an owl, leaving only a lingering awareness that something unseen observes from the shadows. Even the simplest actions are affected by the presence. Steps on the dock echo differently, and the wind carries a sense of anticipation, as if the lake itself waits for visitors to notice. Boats tied securely may rock slowly without cause, and small items left on the shore are sometimes found moved, subtly displaced, suggesting interaction with invisible forces. Leech Lake holds a quiet power, a combination of natural beauty and inexplicable phenomena. The tree line, the water, and the dock form a stage for experiences that cannot be fully explained, where each visitor becomes acutely aware of the environment and the unseen observers within it, leaving an indelible impression on all who encounter them. As dawn approaches, the lake slowly returns to tranquility. The mist lifts, the figures vanish, and the whispers fade. Yet the memory of the night remains, etched in the minds of those who experienced the presence. Leech Lake continues to hold its secrets, a space where nature and the supernatural intersect, and where those who venture near may leave with more than a story. They carry the weight of knowing that some forces linger quietly at the edge of sight, patient and watchful. Even in daylight, the lake hints at its nocturnal mysteries. The ripples that appear without cause, and the lingering sense of eyes watching, and the subtle chill that seems to move through the air all serve as reminders. Leech Lake is a place where the boundary between the ordinary and the extraordinary is thin, and where those who visit after dark are forever changed by the silent witnesses that inhabit its waters and shores. Lake Winnibigoshish stretches across Itasca County, its waters reflecting the dense forests and endless skies that surround it. Mornings often bring a thick mist that drifts across the surface, softening the edges of the shoreline and cloaking the lake in a quiet, otherworldly presence. The mist moves with a slow, deliberate grace, carrying a sense that the lake itself is alive, aware of every ripple and shadow. Figures have been seen walking along the edges of the water in these early hours. They appear briefly, pale shapes that dissolve when approached. Some are glimpsed through the mist, moving silently along the shoreline, while others seem to emerge from the water itself, fading back into the gray haze without a trace. Visitors speak of a feeling of being watched, an unseen presence following their movements, always just beyond reach. Beneath the surface, some report seeing shapes moving with purpose, Shadows glide under the water, creating patterns that are impossible to explain. Occasionally, a ripple appears without wind or current, as though something unseen has passed beneath the boat. The water itself seems to hold memories, echoes of events long past, waiting for the right eyes to notice. Whispers often drift across the lake, soft and indistinct, calling out names or speaking in tones that feel both familiar and alien. They are fleeting, disappearing the moment one turns to listen. The voices leave a lingering chill, a sensation that something unseen is close, attentive, and aware of every movement along the shore. Boats moored along the water sometimes drift slowly, even without wind or current. Their movement is subtle but deliberate, creating a sense of quiet unease for those who witness it. The oars may lift slightly, or the boat may sway as if guided by invisible hands. Observers often hesitate, unsure whether to investigate or retreat, aware that the lake conceals secrets deeper than the eye can see. The surrounding forests contribute to the lake's eerie atmosphere. Tall pines and dense undergrowth create pockets of shadow, corridors where moonlight barely penetrates. Sounds travel strangely through this environment. Footsteps are muffled by needles and moss, while distant rustling is amplified into whispers that seem to come from everywhere at once. Mist drifting through the trees adds layers of uncertainty, so that every movement or sound could be real or imagined. Reflections on the water can be deceptive. Dark shapes sometimes appear independent of the surrounding scenery, moving in ways that suggest awareness of their observers. These forms shift, pause, and vanish without warning, leaving witnesses questioning what they have seen. The ambiguity heightens tension, making the lake both mesmerizing and unnerving. Even in stillness, the lake exerts a subtle presence. The water seems to breathe, expanding and contracting with slow, imperceptible movements. The air is cool and damp, carrying the sense of pine, wet earth, and water that has seen countless seasons. Visitors often describe an overwhelming sensation of being part of the environment yet apart from it, as though the lake and forest are aware of every thought, every step. At dawn, the lake appears calm and serene. Mist lifts, revealing the water's wide expanse and the forests that line its shores. Figures glimpsed along the shoreline, whispers carried across the water, and boats that moved on their own continue to haunt those who witnessed them. Lake Winnibigoshish keeps its secrets close, revealing only what it chooses. Small, unexplained phenomena add to the sense of mystery. Pebbles shift along the shoreline without cause. Branches bend as if brushed by passing figures. Birds take sudden flight, their calls piercing the silence. These subtle details contribute to a narrative experienced more than explained, a story told in sensation, shadow, and quiet movement. Chills often accompany a visit. Sudden cold air may brush along arms or necks. A presence sensed but unseen, combined with visual and auditory phenomena. These experiences create a tangible connection to the unknown, reinforcing the feeling that the lake is more than water and land. It is a threshold, a place where the ordinary and the hidden intersect. It is a threshold, a place where the ordinary and the hidden intersect. Night deepens, and the lake becomes a stage of shadow and reflection. Mist rolls over the water like slow-moving clouds. Shapes form and vanish, sounds echo and fade, and every ripple feels deliberate. Observers find themselves caught between curiosity and apprehension, knowing that the lake has stories to tell, yet never offering clear answers. The vastness of Lake Winnibigoshish amplifies its mystery. With miles of shoreline, countless coves, and dense forests, there are places where the presence is strong and others where it is almost imperceptible. Those who venture deeper into the woods or farther across the water often return with tales of encounters, glimpses, and sensations that defy explanation. The sense of isolation magnifies every experience. In the end, the lake keeps its secrets beneath mist and shadow. Figures appear and vanish, whispers echo, and boats drift without wind. Each phenomenon is fleeting, leaving witnesses with questions and impressions that linger long after they leave. Lake Winnibigoshish is a living archive of memory and mystery, a place where the past and present coexist quietly, persistently, and just beyond sight. Visitors leave with the sense of having glimpsed something extraordinary. The water reflects more than the sky. The forests shelter stories unseen. And the mist carries voices from beyond. Lake Winnibigoshish is a place where the ordinary dissolves. Where shadow and water tell their own story. And where those who visit may feel the presence of something unseen watching, waiting, and remembering. Cedar Lake in Anoka County stretches quietly beneath the canopy of surrounding trees. By day, its waters reflect the sky and the gentle sway of the shoreline. A peaceful retreat for anglers and hikers. Yet as dusk falls, the lake transforms. Shadows stretch along the banks, and a subtle unease settles over the water, hinting at stories that have persisted through time. Visitors who linger near the docks report sensations that cannot be easily explained. Footsteps echo across the wooden planks, soft at first, then more insistent, though no one else is present. The sound carries across the still water, a reminder that Cedar Lake has long been a place where the natural and the mysterious intersect. Along the shoreline, shadowy forms sometimes appear, moving independently of their surroundings. These figures seem drawn to the water, drifting along the edge as if retracing steps from a forgotten past. Observers often describe a sudden chill, a coldness that seems to rise from the earth itself, brushing against the skin like a fleeting touch. The docks, silent by day, take on a different character at night. Soft whispers ride the wind across the water, faint enough to be mistaken for rustling leaves. Yet there is an unmistakable quality to them. Some visitors report feeling invisible touches, a hand brushing lightly against their shoulder or arm. The sensations are subtle, fleeting, yet enough to unsettle even the most skeptical. The lake itself seems to hold memory. Small ripples appear on the surface without wind. Reflections distort. And mist often rises, curling above the water in shapes that suggest movement. Observers sometimes swear they see figures standing at the water's edge, watching silently before dissolving into the night. These moments leave a lingering impression, a feeling that the lake preserves the echoes of lives once present along its banks. Cedar Lake's history is woven with these experiences. It has long been a site of gatherings, solitude, and quiet contemplation. Over time, the stories of those who have disappeared, or those whose presence has faded with history, have merged with the natural environment. The lake becomes a mirror for the unseen, reflecting not only the trees and sky but also shadows of a past that refuses to be entirely forgotten. Visitors walking along the shore often notice subtle changes in the air. The temperature shifts abruptly, a coldness that cannot be traced to weather alone. Sounds carry differently here, footsteps and whispers seeming to come from multiple directions at once. Even the reflection on the water seems altered, a subtle distortion that hints at another presence, a reality slightly out of phase with the one most are familiar with. The docks are a particular focus of these encounters. Figures have been seen pacing along them, appearing solid for a moment before vanishing into the night. The sensation of being watched is often strongest here, an invisible awareness that lingers even after visitors have left. Even when the lake is calm, the feeling of movement persists. Small waves break against the shore, yet sometimes the water seems to shift unnaturally, as if responding to something unseen. The combination of natural beauty and subtle supernatural activity gives Cedar Lake a unique atmosphere, one where history and mystery flow together seamlessly. Walkers along the shoreline at night describe the sensation of being drawn into the environment. Sounds of the forest mingle with distant echoes, whispers that seem to carry messages in a language no one can understand. Every step on the sandy bank seems to echo, interacting with the unseen, creating a rhythm that is both familiar and otherworldly. For those in small boats, the experience is heightened. The water occasionally ripples against the hull. Yet no wind or current explains the movement. Shadows on the shoreline shift, vanish, and sometimes reappear, giving the impression of observers who exist between the natural and the spectral. These moments leave visitors with a profound awareness of the unseen. An understanding that Cedar Lake holds more than just water and land within its bounds. The forest surrounding the lake contributes to its mysterious character. Trees sway even without wind, and the darkness between trunks can hide movements that defy explanation. Whispers seem to travel along the forest floor and across the water, brushing against anyone who pauses long enough to listen. Even subtle sensations, like a cold draft or a fleeting touch, become part of the immersive experience, heightening the sense of presence and history that permeates the area. Cedar Lake is a place where the ordinary becomes extraordinary. The interplay of light, shadow, water, and wind creates a dynamic stage for encounters that defy rational explanation. Figures emerge and vanish, sounds ripple across the surface, and the very air seems imbued with memory. Visitors leave with more than images of the Lochia's beauty. They carry an impression of its enduring mystery, an understanding that Cedar Lake is a threshold, a meeting place of the natural world and the unseen. Each visit is unique, yet a common thread emerges. The lake, its docks, and the surrounding forest are alive with echoes, presences that seem drawn to those who linger. The shoreline becomes a corridor where shadows and reflections intersect, where whispers are carried on the wind, and where the past persists in subtle, undeniable ways. Cedar Lake remains a place of intrigue, where every step along the water's edge invites contemplation of what lies beyond the visible. A serene yet haunting destination where the ordinary and the mysterious coexist. Rice Lake in Rice County stretches wide beneath the sky, its calm surface reflecting clouds and sunlight in a seamless mirror. Yet beneath this peaceful exterior, the lake holds a reputation that draws curiosity and caution alike. Visitors have long spoken of experiences that defy explanation, where the ordinary becomes strange and the familiar transforms into something uncomfortably alive. Figures drift silently across the water. They move without a sound, gliding over the surface, as if floating just beyond perception. Some appear near the shoreline, lingering in the mist, before vanishing without a trace. Their presence is subtle yet unmistakable, leaving observers with the eerie sensation that the lake is not merely water and waves, but a space where unseen entities traverse freely. The fog that rolls across Rice Lake carries more than mist. Soft laughter or quiet crying seems to emerge from the haze, distant yet unmistakable. At times the sounds are faint, like echoes of lives long past, at other moments they are sharp enough to startle those who hear them. The cries and laughter intermingle with the rustle of reeds and the gentle lapping of water against the shore, creating an atmosphere both beautiful and haunting. Boats rock unexpectedly on the calm water. Canoes and small fishing boats tilt and sway without wind or current, creating a sense that some invisible force guides them. Paddles sometimes dip into the water without human hands, moving the vessel slowly along the lake. Anglers and explorers have felt the subtle tug of unseen currents, and occasionally report an inexplicable sense of being accompanied, as though the lake itself is aware of their presence. Ripples form where no one has stepped. The water seems to move of its own volition, spreading outward in concentric circles that fade into silence. Observers often describe a fleeting impression of movement beneath the surface, shadows that vanish when investigated. Even the smallest disturbances appear deliberate, as if the lake is alive, its depths holding secrets that refuse to be fully revealed. The surrounding landscape enhances the Lochia's mysterious allure, where the line between reality and imagination blurs. Noticing every shift in light, sound, or reflection as if the environment itself is watching. Nightfall transforms Rice Lake entirely. Darkness deepens the water, and the fog thickens, swallowing the familiar and revealing the unknown. Distant lights shimmer and fade on the surface, sometimes interpreted as reflections, other times as something more enigmatic. Shadows stretch and twist along the shore, taking shapes that vanish when approached. Every ripple, every whisper of wind, every faint sound carries weight, heightening the impression that the lake is more than a placea, it is an experience. Accounts from visitors and local lore speak of the lake as a place where the past lingers. Shadows of unknown origin drift across the surface, and cries or laughter seem to echo from no identifiable source. Those who linger at the water's edge feel moments of sudden unease, a chill that sweeps across them as if acknowledging their presence. The combination of visual, auditory, and physical phenomena reinforces the sense that Rice Lake is a space of active, unseen forces. Fog, water, and shadow work together to create an immersive, atmospheric environment. Mist rising from the lake softens the horizon, distorting shapes and stretching perceptions. The interplay of light and dark, movement and stillness, creates a landscape that is constantly shifting, keeping visitors aware and alert. Each moment on the lake is layered with uncertainty, and every encounter leaves a lingering impression of the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. Those who spend time on Rice Lake often describe their experiences as profound and unsettling. Shadowy figures, unexplained sounds, and self-moving water vessels combine to create a narrative that is both mysterious and captivating. The lake teaches visitors to look closer, listen carefully, and accept that some phenomena cannot be fully explained. Every ripple and every whisper suggests a story just beyond understanding, waiting to be glimpsed but never fully grasped. Ultimately, Rice Lake remains a place of natural beauty intertwined with the supernatural. Its waters reflect the sky, yet conceal depths filled with enigmatic forces. Figures that drift silently, whispers in the fog, boats that move without cause, and ripples that appear mysteriously all contribute to a sense of wonder and unease. Visitors depart with memories of fleeting shapes, elusive sounds, and the persistent awareness that the lake holds secrets, quietly waiting for those who dare to observe and listen. Rice Lake invites curiosity and respect. Its combination of calm beauty and inexplicable phenomena creates an atmosphere that is at once captivating and unsettling. Shadows glide across the water. Laughter and crying echo in the fog. And the surface ripples in places untouched. Every experience reinforces the Lakia's enduring mystery, a place where natural splendor and the unseen intersect, leaving a haunting impression that lingers long after visitors leave the shore. Pelican Lake stretches across Otter Tail County, its surface calm under the early evening sky. By day, it is a place of tranquility, with fishermen casting lines and families enjoying the water. Yet, as twilight descends, the lake takes on a different character, one that feels observant, almost alive. The air grows heavier, and the forest that surrounds the water seems to lean closer, silent and watchful. Visitors often speak of pale figures appearing in the water. At first, they may seem like reflections of clouds or shadows cast by distant trees. But these forms are distinct. They rise just beneath the surface, their outlines faint but unmistakable. Sometimes appearing to move with purpose, then disappearing without a trace. The sensation is unnerving, a quiet reminder that the lake may hold memories and presences unseen by the ordinary eye. Whispers drift across the water, subtle at first, almost carried by the wind. Some hear their names called softly, as though the lake itself reaches out to those standing on the shore or dock. The sound is never clear, never tangible, but it creates a profound sense of attention and intent. Visitors instinctively turn, scanning the trees and water for a source, only to find emptiness and silence. The lake itself seems restless. Boats tied securely along the shore sometimes shift or tilt without cause. Lines that should remain still sway gently, and the water ripples where no breeze exists. Even the smallest movement is magnified in the quiet of night, each sound echoing across the surface and up into the surrounding woods. The experience leaves many questioning what is natural and what is the influence of something beyond comprehension. The forest surrounding Pelican Lake adds to the uneasy atmosphere. Tall pines and dense underbrush seem almost sentient in the dim light. Shadows stretch and twist among the trunks, moving in ways that defy the ordinary play of wind and moonlight. The trees seem to watch silently, their presence imposing, yet unseen, as if the lake and forest together form a realm separate from the world beyond. Those who venture onto the water in small boats report even stranger occurrences. Ripples appear in places where no movement should exist, and the surface occasionally reflects shapes that vanish the moment they are focused upon. The pale figures sometimes seem closer to the boat, hovering beneath the water, their presence felt more than seen. The sensation of being watched intensifies with every passing minute, making even the calmest waters feel charged with quiet energy. Sounds in and around the lake are equally disorienting. Gentle splashes, the creak of wooden planks, and the faint murmur of voices drift across the shoreline. The effect is subtle but profound. A mixture of curiosity and unease that keeps visitors alert and attentive. The chill of night seems drawn to the lake. Even in summer, cold gusts move unpredictably across the water and shore. Visitors report icy touches brushing their arms and shoulders, leaving goosebumps and a heightened awareness of the environment. The sensation passes as quickly as it arrives, but it lingers in memory, reinforcing the sense that Pelican Lake is a place where the ordinary rules of nature may not fully apply. The experience extends beyond the water. The shoreline, the docks, and the forest edges all hold subtle signs of activity. Footsteps sometimes echo where none should exist, and objects left near the water are occasionally found shifted or moved. The effect is never threatening but always present, an invisible presence that seems intent on reminding visitors that they are not alone. Nightfall intensifies the haunting atmosphere. Mist rises from the lake, obscuring the shore and blurring the boundaries between water, forest, and sky. The pale figures appear more distinct to some, or more elusive to others, always on the edge of perception. The whispers grow slightly louder, the ripples more pronounced, creating a cinematic scene that is both beautiful and unsettling. Pelican Lake holds a quiet power, combining natural beauty with a subtle but undeniable presence. Each visitor experiences it differently, yet all share the sense that the lake retains echoes of past lives and unseen observers. The water, the forest, and the quiet movements around the lake suggest a place where memory lingers, where stories of the past are held beneath the surface, waiting for the curious to notice. By dawn, the lake returns to its daytime serenity. Mist dissipates, ripples fade, and the pale figures vanish with the first light. Yet the memory of the night persists, etched in the minds of those who witnessed its quiet mysteries. Pelican Lake remains a place of wonder and subtle terror. A lake that continues to hold its secrets and the silent watch of unseen presences for all who venture near after dark. Even in daylight, hints of the Lake's nocturnal life remain. Ripples sometimes appear for no reason. The forest edges seem more animated than they should be. And the subtle awareness of being observed lingers in the air. Pelican Lake is a place where the ordinary and the extraordinary converge, leaving visitors with a story that is both mesmerizing and haunting. A reminder that some places are watched, remembered, and never truly empty. Cass Lake stretches across the dense forests of Cass County, its waters reflecting the dark silhouettes of surrounding trees. As night falls, the lake takes on a different character. Mist rises from the surface, curling along the shorelines and drifting among the docks. The quiet of the evening is broken only by the soft lapping of water against pilings, yet there is a sense that something more moves beneath the surface. Figures are sometimes seen at the edges of the docks, pale shapes that appear briefly before vanishing into the shadows. They linger just long enough to be noticed, their presence subtle but unmistakable. Observers often feel a shiver pass along their spine, a sensation that they are not alone, that the lake holds watchers who do not belong to this world. Visitors have reported hearing cries in the night. The sounds are distant, almost carried by the wind, yet they reach the ears with unnerving clarity. Boats moored along the dock sometimes drift slowly, though the wind remains calm. The movement is subtle, a slow rocking that seems deliberate, almost guided. Oars may lift or shift without hands to control them. Witnesses describe a sense of unease as the water itself appears to respond to unseen forces, carrying them gently or threateningly depending on the moment. The forest surrounding the lake amplifies the eerie atmosphere. Shadows stretch long across the water and the shoreline, creating hidden corridors where figures may move unseen. Trees sway and creak, and every rustle of leaves becomes a potential signal of an approaching presence. The darkness and mist combine to obscure distance and depth, leaving visitors unsure of what they see or hear. Even in moments of stillness, the lake seems alive. Reflections on the water sometimes shift independently of wind or wave. Dark shapes forming and dissipating in ways that defy explanation. The air carries the sense of wet earth and pine. Mixed with something indefinable, a tang of the past that lingers invisibly. Some report sudden touches, cold fingers brushing along their arms or shoulders. These sensations appear without cause, leaving a tangible reminder that the unseen is near. Combined with the cries, the drifting boats, and the fleeting figures, these experiences contribute to an overwhelming sense that Cass Lake is a place where the ordinary world intersects with something beyond comprehension. Mornings bring little relief. Mist clings to the water, curling along the docks and drifting through the forest. Shapes are glimpsed among the trees, moving silently before disappearing. The lake reflects the soft colors of dawn, yet the sensations of night leave their mark on those who have witnessed them. The memory of whispers, fleeting shapes, and subtle movements lingers, leaving visitors with a feeling that the lake has kept its secrets intact. The docks themselves are places of tension. Each wooden plank groans beneath footsteps, yet some visitors feel weight where no one stands. Shadows twist and flicker in peripheral vision. And eyes catching movement in the mist often glimpse nothing when they turn. The sense of being watched persists, a quiet pressure that never fully fades. Water and forest conceal stories, some lost to time. Cass Lake is known to harbor secrets of the past, tragedies long forgotten. And echoes of lives once lived along its shores. The cries, the drifting boats, and the fleeting figures may be remnants of these histories. Waiting for those who are willing or foolish enough to perceive them. Even in the calm of midday, the lake carries an air of quiet anticipation. Ripples may appear on glassy surfaces without wind, and shadows stretch in ways that challenge natural explanation. Every sight and sound seems amplified by the dense forest and reflective water, creating an environment where imagination and reality are difficult to separate. Visitors leave the lake with stories that defy explanation. Fleeting figures at the docks. Cries that vanish into the night. The slow drift of boats. And the cold brush of unseen hands. Are all part of an experience that is deeply personal yet universally unsettling. The lake itself becomes a character, shaping the perceptions and emotions of those who come near. At night, the mist thickens and the shadows deepen. Figures move through the fog along the docks and shoreline, sometimes seen only as shifting shapes or subtle movements. Whispers rise from the trees or water, calling names, drawing attention, or fading before full understanding. Boats respond to invisible forces, moving slowly across the calm lake surface. Cass Lake does not reveal its mysteries easily. It holds its stories close, layered beneath mist, shadow, and reflection. The presence is subtle yet undeniable, leaving visitors with a sense of having witnessed something extraordinary and unsettling. Every visit is unique, yet all carry the same feeling of awe, tension, and quiet fear. That the lake itself is alive with memory and presence. Those who walk the docks at night or gaze across the water may feel the weight of history pressing softly yet persistently. Figures appear and vanish. Whispers drift across the mist. And the touch of unseen hands reminds all who visit that Cass Lake is more than it seems. It is a place where the ordinary dissolves, and where shadows, water, and memory converge, waiting to be perceived by those who dare to watch, listen, and feel. Shigawa Lake in Itasca County rests quietly beneath a veil of morning mist. Its waters stretch smoothly into the distance, reflecting the gray sky and dense forest that borders the shoreline. By day, it is a tranquil place, a retreat for fishermen and hikers seeking solitude. Yet as twilight falls, the lake takes on a different character, one where stillness is punctuated by the inexplicable. Figures have been reported along the shoreline, appearing briefly before vanishing as if swallowed by the mist. They seem drawn to the water's edge, pausing in silence, their movements slow and deliberate. Some visitors describe the sense of being watched, a subtle awareness that lingers even when no one is visible. The fog thickens over the lake, softening the landscape and creating an atmosphere where reality and imagination blur. The surrounding woods contribute to the lake's mysterious presence. Sounds drift from between the trees, faint laughter that seems distant yet oddly close. At other times, soft crying carries across the water, a sound that cannot be traced to any human source. These fleeting noises leave an impression of lives once present or of unseen observers hidden in the shadows. Even on calm nights, the lake seems to move with a life of its own. Small boats are sometimes seen rocking gently, as if someone has just stepped away. No footprints are left on the docks, and no human presence is ever confirmed. The water reflects the mist and the trees, yet at times, reflections seem altered, hinting at forms that do not belong to the living. Visitors describe a subtle chill that spreads through the air, often near the shoreline. It is not the cold of night or wind but a sensation that seems tied to the lake itself. Pausing at the water's edge, many feel the brush of an unseen presence, fleeting and intangible, yet undeniably there. The experience is immersive, leaving a lingering awareness that Shigawa Lake holds more than meets the eye. As darkness deepens, the mist becomes thicker, curling over the water in shifting patterns. Figures that were only glimpsed moments before seem to drift along the shoreline, dissolving into the fog as observers approach. Shadows stretch and move independently of natural light, creating an impression that the lake is inhabited by presences tied to both water and forest. The shoreline tells its own story. Rocks and driftwood are scattered along the edge, yet at times, objects appear subtly shifted, as though nudged by unseen hands. Every sound, every movement, seems magnified in the eerie quiet of the night. Walkers along the forest trails report feeling the weight of the unseen. Steps echo through the underbrush, yet no one is present. The laughter and crying continue, sometimes overlapping in an unsettling harmony, as if the forest and lake are sharing their memories with those willing to listen. Even the wind seems purposeful, carrying voices that vanish when one tries to locate their source. The lake itself acts as a mirror for these experiences. Its surface reflects the moon and stars, yet distortions sometimes appear. Figures emerging for a moment before dissolving into the fog. Boats drift without hands. Shadows move across the water. And the atmosphere thickens with a sense of anticipation. A subtle tension that keeps visitors alert and uncertain of what is real. Shigawa Lake has long been a place of retreat, solitude, and reflection. Yet for those who venture after dark, it reveals a different layer of its existence. Figures move silently among the mist, whispers and cries drift from the forest, and the water carries subtle signs of life unseen. The combination of natural beauty and inexplicable activity creates a unique, haunting environment that captivates and unnerves simultaneously. Each visit offers a new experience. One night, a figure may appear near a dock, only to vanish as the mist swirls. Another, the faint sound of laughter drifts through the trees, leaving visitors to question whether it is memory, imagination, or something else entirely. The lake, the shoreline, and the surrounding forest form a stage where the ordinary and the mysterious coexist seamlessly. The presence at Shigawa Lake is subtle, yet unmistakable. Every echo of laughter. Every shadow along the water. Every gentle rocking of a boat without a hand aboard reinforces the impression that the lake preserves traces of those who have come before. It is a place where the unseen is ever present. A silent witness to moments both fleeting and enduring. By the time morning breaks, the mist recedes, and the lake returns to its serene state. Those who have witnessed the subtle disturbances, felt the icy brush of a presence, or heard the whispers carried across the water leave with a sense of awe and unease. Shigawa Lake remains a place of beauty and mystery, where nature and the inexplicable intersect, offering visitors an experience that is haunting, immersive, and unforgettable. In the quiet of the early hours, the lake seems unchanged, calm and reflective. Yet beneath its placid surface, beneath the fog that rises in the night, the echoes of the unseen persist. Shigawa Lake is more than a body of water. It is a living archive of memory. A realm where shadows move, whispers linger, and the veil between the visible and invisible is at its thinnest. Every visitor who comes in search of quiet solitude leaves with a reminder that some places carry stories that cannot be entirely explained. A lingering presence that watches and waits along the misty shores. Fish Lake in Chisago County stretches quietly beneath the morning sky, its surface glassy and still, reflecting trees and clouds in near-perfect symmetry. Yet beneath this calm exterior, the lake has long inspired whispers of the strange and unexplained, moments when the lake seems alive with forces unseen, where the ordinary becomes subtly, unnervingly extraordinary. Shadowy forms drift silently across the water. They glide just above the surface, imperceptible at first, and then unmistakable. Shapes that seem to observe rather than move. These figures appear in fleeting glimpses, vanishing when approached, leaving behind only the unsettling sense of being watched. The phenomenon is not confined to any one part of the lake. Shadows have been seen near the shoreline, gliding through the reeds, and even in open water where no obstruction exists. Visitors report whispers from unseen sources. The voices are soft, distant, and fleeting, carrying across the water in ways that defy logic. Sometimes they sound like words, almost coherent. And at other times they are nothing more than echoes of emotion. Sorrow or curiosity, manifesting through the wind. The whispers seem to come from no single direction, wrapping around those near the shore, or drifting along with the fog that often hangs over the lake at dawn or dusk. Some see figures beneath the water, staring upward. Silhouettes linger just below the surface, indistinct yet hauntingly human in form. They remain motionless for moments that feel suspended in time, giving the impression of a silent vigil. When approached, these submerged shapes dissolve into the murky depths, leaving only ripples and a profound sense of presence. Anglers and visitors often describe a sudden awareness that they are not alone, as if the lake itself holds its own consciousness, watching and responding to their movements. Ripples appear where no movement should exist. The water shifts subtly, forming concentric circles that expand and fade without wind, current, or human touch. Observers sometimes feel a tension in the air, as if the lake is signaling, warning, or simply asserting its quiet dominion. Even the smallest disturbances take on significance, magnified by the stillness that dominates the lake for most of the day. The surrounding landscape adds to the Lakia's mysterious allure. Dense forests line the banks, casting long shadows across the water at sunset. Mist rises from the surface in the early morning, obscuring the view and creating the impression of hidden shapes and figures just beyond sight. Inlets and coves provide secluded spaces where the interaction between fog, light, and water crafts an ever-changing tableau, enhancing the perception that Fish Lake is a place apart, removed from ordinary reality. Nightfall transforms the lake into something altogether different. Darkness deepens the water, and the surrounding woods melt into shadow. Sounds that were subtle in daylight become amplified. The gentle lapping of water, the rustle of leaves, and occasional faint voices carried on the wind. Figures that were visible only as faint silhouettes during the day appear sharper in the moonlight. Or vanish entirely, leaving only a shiver-inducing emptiness where they once stood. Visitors often describe a sense of isolation and heightened awareness. The lake seems to demand attention, requiring observation and sensitivity to its subtle cues. Every shift in fog, every ripple, every soft whisper contributes to the sensation that Fish Lake is not merely a body of water but a threshold, a space where the natural and the supernatural coexist. The interplay between perception and reality leaves an indelible impression on those who spend time on its banks. Local lore and first-hand accounts paint a picture of enduring mystery. Shadowy figures drift silently, whispers echo from unseen sources, and ripples emerge from nothing. Shapes beneath the surface watch silently, and boats or small watercraft sometimes move as if guided by invisible hands. Shapes beneath the surface watch silently, and boats or small watercraft sometimes move as if guided by invisible hands. These occurrences combine to create an atmosphere of suspense and curiosity, reinforcing the lake's reputation as a place where ordinary observation gives way to the inexplicable. The environment itself seems to participate in the experience. Fog, darkness, and still water combine to create a setting where perception is constantly challenged. Reflections distort shapes, shadows merge with the landscape, and the gentle sounds of water and wind take on new, sometimes disconcerting qualities. Every visit feels like a negotiation with the lake, a careful balance between courage and caution, observation and acceptance. Ultimately, Fish Lake remains a place of natural beauty intertwined with the supernatural. Its calm surface masks depths that are unpredictable and enigmatic. Shadowy forms, whispers, figures beneath the water, and ripples in places untouched all reinforce the impression that the lake holds secrets, quietly asserting its presence to those who pay attention. Visitors depart with a lingering sense of wonder, an awareness of forces that cannot be fully explained, and memories of a lake where the ordinary and the mysterious exist side by side. Fish Lake invites reflection and respect. Its beauty is undeniable, yet each experience carries a weight of uncertainty and intrigue. The drifting shadows, the whispered voices, the unseen movements beneath the surface, and the unexplained ripples all contribute to an enduring legend. It is a place that teaches patience, observation, and humility, reminding all who visit that some mysteries are meant to be felt rather than solved. Cross Lake in Crow Wing County is a place of quiet beauty by day. Its waters glisten under the sun, reflecting the surrounding pines and the open sky. Fishermen cast their lines and kayakers glide across its surface, drawn to the tranquility that this vast lake offers. Yet, as evening falls and darkness settles over the water, the lake transforms into a place heavy with unseen presence and quiet tension. Figures have been reported appearing at the water's edge as night deepens. They stand still, almost statuesque, watching silently. Sometimes, their outlines seem faintly illuminated by the moon. And at other times, they are nothing more than shadows blending seamlessly with the forest behind them. The effect is subtle but chilling, leaving visitors with the sensation of being observed by something that does not belong to the world of the living. A coldness often follows those who venture near the shore after sunset. Many report feeling icy hands brush their shoulders or the back of their neck, a fleeting touch that disappears as quickly as it arrives. The chill is sudden and intense, contrasting with the warm air just moments before, leaving a lasting impression that the lake is more than just a body of water. Boats moored along the docks or tied loosely to piers sometimes shift or rock without wind. The gentle ripples that appear around them seem to move with intent, as if something beneath the surface is stirring. Even when the water appears calm, small movements can catch the eye, prompting questions about what lies beneath. Some visitors say the sensation is as if unseen hands guide the boats, creating movement where there should be none. The lake carries sounds that unsettle even the most composed visitor. Faint cries echo across the water, carried softly by the night air. The sounds are distant yet clear enough to draw attention, rising and fading without source. At times, the cries sound like they come from the far shore, and at other times, they seem to come from directly beneath the water. The ambiguity of the noise heightens the tension, making the lake feel alive with memories and unspoken stories. Shadows play a significant role in the lake's eerie atmosphere. Moonlight reflects on the water, yet forms sometimes appear that do not match any known object. Figures seem to drift across the surface or linger along the tree line, always just out of reach. Their movements are deliberate, yet silent, leaving a sense of anticipation that something might happen at any moment. Visitors cannot help but watch, caught between fear and fascination. The forest surrounding Cross Lake amplifies the haunting experience. Pines and underbrush create darkened edges along the shore, concealing the unknown. Even gentle winds make the trees sway in ways that suggest hidden movement. The combination of shadow, water, and unseen presence produces an environment where natural explanations feel insufficient, leaving a lingering unease that intensifies as the night deepens. The lake seems to have its own rhythm. Ripples appear without breeze. Reflections shimmer strangely. And the occasional sensation of being watched persists. These experiences are subtle yet undeniable, creating a narrative that the lake itself holds memory and consciousness beyond human understanding. As darkness envelopes Cross Lake fully, the phenomena intensify. The cries become more pronounced yet remain elusive. Figures appear more frequently at the water's edge. And boats shift as if moved by invisible forces. The cold touches become sharper. A tangible reminder that the lake is not merely a quiet retreat but a space where the ordinary rules of reality are challenged. Even those who have visited in daylight report a lingering sense of unease afterward. The knowledge that the lake transforms at night stays with them, coloring memories of the tranquil waters with subtle fear. Cross Lake is a place where light and shadow, silence and sound, combine to create an atmosphere that is both mesmerizing and haunting. By morning, the lake returns to its calm state. The ripples settle, the figures vanish. And the chill dissipates with the rising sun. Yet for those who have walked its shores after dark, the memory remains. Cross Lake holds its secrets and its watchers. A reminder that some places, no matter how beautiful, are more than they seem, where the quiet presence of the past and the unseen can make every shadow and whisper carry meaning. Cross Lake continues to be a site where curiosity and caution intertwine. Visitors may be drawn to its water for recreation or relaxation. But at night, the lake asserts its presence in subtle and unmistakable ways. The pale figures, the icy touches, the unseen movements, and the faint cries all speak to a landscape that remembers and observes. A lake that holds stories written in shadow and reflected across the still surface of the water. Even as the sun rises and daytime brings clarity, the echoes of the night remain. Cross Lake is a place that commands respect, a natural sanctuary. That is also a stage for phenomena that defy simple explanation. Each visitor leaves with a story to tell, a lingering chill. And the sense that the lake, the water, and the forest are never truly empty. The mystery endures, waiting for the next visitor to step quietly onto its shores and witness the subtle, haunting presence that defines Cross Lake. Mille Lacs Bay stretches across Crow Wing County, its waters vast and seemingly endless. As night falls, the surface of the lake becomes a mirror for the moonlight, reflecting silver streaks that ripple with a quiet unease. The shoreline, dense with trees and brush, transforms into a place where shadows seem to move with purpose, gliding silently along the water's edge. Visitors often report glimpses of shadowy figures that vanish when approached. Their movements are smooth and deliberate, almost as if they are watching, waiting for someone to acknowledge them. The feeling of being observed is subtle but persistent, a quiet pressure that raises the hairs on the back of the neck and makes each sound more pronounced. Whispers drift across the water, carried on the night breeze. These sounds are faint at first, blending with the lapping of waves, but they grow in clarity, forming words that are never fully understood. The origin of these voices is impossible to pinpoint, and yet they echo in the ears of those who linger along the shoreline. Some insist the whispers are calling names, calling for attention, while others sense warnings hidden within the sounds. Boats tied to docks or moored along the bay sometimes move without any wind to guide them. They drift slowly across the calm water, rocking as though someone invisible guides them. Oars lift and shift without hands to hold them, leaving those who watch with a sense of unease. The lake itself seems aware, responding to unseen forces, creating an atmosphere where reality and the supernatural blur. Reflections in the water add to the mystery. Pale shapes appear just beneath the surface, then taking on the forms of people long gone. These reflections are never consistent, fading in and out as if the water itself remembers stories of the past. Those who gaze too long may feel a chill, the sense that the lake holds memories that refuse to remain hidden. The forested shoreline amplifies the lake's eerie presence. Shadows twist and stretch between trees, and every rustle of leaves becomes a question. Is it the wind, or something moving unseen? The combination of dense woods, quiet water, and drifting mist creates an environment where every sense is heightened, and imagination and reality begin to merge. Visitors often describe a sudden drop in temperature, a coldness that seems to seep from the water itself. Even on warm summer nights, the air along the shore can feel icy, brushing against skin like fingers reaching out from another time. This chill is accompanied by the occasional sensation of being followed, footsteps seeming to echo behind those walking along the docks or narrow paths. The lake has its stories, hidden within its waves and the forests that embrace it. Legends of travelers lost to the water, of lives interrupted, and of secrets buried beneath the lake's surface circulate quietly among those who know the area. At times, the mist rises from the water, curling around trees and docks, cloaking the shoreline in a gray haze. Within this fog, figures appear more clearly, yet remain impossible to touch or confront. The mist seems to carry voices, moving and shifting with the shapes it surrounds. Observers often feel a sense of disorientation, unable to tell where the land ends and the supernatural begins. Even during the day, Lake's Bay holds an otherworldly presence. Shadows appear in reflections, and water moves with a life of its own. The trees cast strange patterns across the shore, and sudden breezes ripple across the surface without warning. The lake retains a quiet energy, a memory of events long past that refuses to fade, waiting for those who are willing to notice. Visitors leave the bay with lingering impressions that cannot easily be explained. The shadowy figures, the whispers, the drifting boats, and the reflections of people long gone create an experience that is both mesmerizing and unsettling. Lake's Bay exists in a delicate balance between the familiar and the unknown, a place where the ordinary world intersects with something ancient and hidden. As night deepens, the shadows grow longer and the whispers stronger. The water glistens under the moon, masking secrets beneath its surface. Figures continue to glide along the shoreline, boats drift silently, and the cries of the past echo faintly across the bay. Lake's Bay is not merely a body of water, it is a living memory. A place where the present brushes against the echoes of what has been. and where every visitor senses the weight of stories carried through the mist and reflected in the stillness of the night. The lake holds its mysteries carefully, revealing glimpses only to those who linger. Its waters, mist, and shadows combine to create an atmosphere of quiet suspense. A reminder that some places are never truly empty. Mille Lacs Bay watches, remembers, and waits. A sentinel of time and memory along the shores of Crow Wing County. Le Sueur Lake in Le Sueur County rests quietly beneath a sky that shifts from gold to deep indigo as evening descends. Its waters lie still, reflecting the surrounding forest and the fading light. By day, it is a place of serene beauty, where fishermen cast lines and birds trace arcs above the water. Yet as darkness falls, the lake transforms into a space where the ordinary feels suspended and the unexplained emerges. Along the edge of the forest, figures have been seen standing silently, their presence at once subtle and unnerving. They do not move, yet there is a sense that they are observing, aware of every ripple in the water and every step along the shoreline. Visitors report an uneasy feeling, the sense that they are not alone even in the stillness of the night. The forest itself seems to hold its breath, amplifying the smallest sounds and movements. Footsteps often accompany these sightings. Soft whispers drift through the trees, indistinct and fleeting. These sounds linger, leaving an impression of hidden presences that cannot be explained by natural causes alone. The lake itself adds to the sense of unease. Some who venture into small boats feel an unexpected tug beneath them, as if something unseen is brushing against the hull. The water appears calm, yet it holds secrets beneath its reflective surface. Shadows flit along the shoreline, appearing and disappearing without pattern or reason. Moments that begin in ordinary observation quickly shift into an awareness that the lake has a presence of its own. The forest surrounding Le Sueur Lake contributes to the atmosphere of mystery. Its dense trees block light and distort sound, creating spaces where imagination can take hold. Shapes move in the periphery of vision, only to vanish when directly observed. Whispers rise from the darkness between trunks, carrying through the night in patterns that seem purposeful, though their meaning is unknowable. Visitors describe a feeling that is difficult to articulate, a weight in the air that presses subtly on the senses. Even in silence, the lake and forest convey an energy that is almost tangible, a reminder that places carry histories and presences beyond what is immediately visible. The combination of still water, looming trees, and shifting shadows creates an environment where the ordinary and the inexplicable coexist. As the night deepens, the figures at the edge of the forest seem more distinct. Some appear as silhouettes against the moonlit water. Others partially obscured by trees and fog. Yet there is a sense of quiet attention. As though they are aware of every heartbeat and breath. For those who linger, the feeling of being observed intensifies. The whispering grows more insistent, weaving through the branches and over the water. The shoreline holds subtle disturbances as well. Stones and driftwood sometimes shift, as if nudged by unseen hands. Small ripples appear on the water without wind or motion from boats. Every detail reinforces the idea that the lake is not merely a body of water, but a space infused with lingering presence. The environment itself seems to respond to those who enter it, amplifying every sound, shadow, and movement. Le Sueur Lake is a place where the ordinary world intersects with the mysterious. Visitors tell of shadowy forms disappearing into the night without a trace, leaving only the echo of their existence. Boats drift quietly across the water, footsteps are heard where no one walks, and whispers seem to emanate from the very fabric of the forest. Each encounter is unique, yet all share the same sense that the lake holds more than the eye can see. Time passes differently along the shoreline. A few minutes can feel like hours as one navigates the docks or trails. Every flicker of movement and every faint sound commands attention, heightening awareness and tension. The mind searches for explanation, yet often finds none, leaving only a lingering sense of wonder and unease. Even as dawn approaches, the lake maintains its quiet mystery. Mist rises from the water, curling along the forest edge, softening the lines between land and lake, shadow and form. Those who depart carry with them the memory of whispers, footsteps, and fleeting figures, a reminder that some places retain echoes of the unseen. Le Sueur Lake remains a space where the natural and the unexplained intertwine. Its calm surface conceals a history of presence and absence. Of forms that appear and vanish. Of whispers that float across the water. In the quiet moments of night, when the forest and water hold their breath, Le Sueur Lake reveals itself as more than a body of water. It is a place of reflection and shadow, of fleeting presence and lingering energy. Every visitor who comes in search of solitude or adventure leaves with a sense that the lake watches and waits, preserving mysteries that may never fully be understood. Pekigama Lake in Itasca County stretches across the horizon, its surface shimmering in the early morning light. Mist often rises from the water, curling like silent tendrils that drift over the shoreline and weave through the surrounding pines. On most days, it is a place of serene beauty, where the sounds of birds and the gentle lapping of water create a sense of peace. Yet beneath this tranquility, there is an enduring sense of mystery, an unspoken presence that has fascinated visitors for generations. Figures appear in the mist above the water. They emerge briefly, as if walking on the surface or hovering just above it. These forms are fleeting, appearing at the edge of vision before fading into the fog. Observers often describe a sensation of being watched, a quiet awareness that something unseen is observing every movement. The figures vary in size and shape, some seeming human, others more shadow-like, moving in ways that defy natural movement across water and mist. Some hear cries for help and laughter intertwined. The sounds are unpredictable, sometimes distant, sometimes startlingly close. They float across the lake, carried on the wind, blending sorrow and mirth in a way that unsettles even the most stoic visitors. There is no clear source for the sounds, leaving those who hear them to wonder whether the lake itself is speaking, or if echoes of the past linger in the fog. Boats rock mysteriously, even when no wind stirs the water. Docked vessels sway gently, as if guided by invisible hands. The ripples spread across the lake in patterns that suggest movement, yet no one is aboard to create it. Anglers and casual visitors alike have recounted moments when a sudden motion of a boat drew their attention, only to find no explanation in the wind, current, or passing wildlife. Shadows drift silently along the docks. They glide just above the wooden planks or along the edges of the pier, often vanishing when approached. These shadowy figures appear human in silhouette, but lack detail, leaving a sense of vague presence rather than clear form. They seem purposeful, moving with intent, yet entirely intangible, reinforcing the idea that the lake exists in both physical and ethereal dimensions simultaneously. The surrounding environment enhances the Lakia's enigmatic qualities. In the early morning, fog and mist create a veil over the surface, reducing visibility and creating the impression that the lake is larger, deeper, and more secretive than maps or charts suggest. Every cove, inlet, and tree-lined bank becomes a stage for the subtle movements and sounds that have long defined the Lakia's mysterious reputation. Nightfall brings a different atmosphere to Pekigama Lake. Darkness deepens the water into black mirror, reflecting the faint light of the moon. Mist clings low to the surface, wrapping the docks and boats in a shroud. Sounds that are almost imperceptible by day become clearer at night, the soft creak of a dock board, the gentle splash of water, or distant, unplaceable cries. Shadows seem to lengthen, and the presence of the lake feels more immediate, more aware, as though the night enhances its supernatural character. Visitors often speak of an overwhelming sense of isolation. The lake appears alive with quiet movement. Each sound, shadow, and ripple contributing to the feeling that one is never truly alone. Even in the absence of wind or human activity, the environment seems responsive. As if the lake and its surroundings are aware of those who venture into its space. Every visit demands attention, patience, and a willingness to observe the subtle cues that define the Lakia's mysterious personality. Local accounts and stories add depth to these experiences. Witnesses describe the eerie combination of laughter and cries, the unexplained rocking of boats, and shadows drifting along the docks. These occurrences are not limited to a single time or season, reinforcing the idea that Pakigama Lake harbors phenomena beyond ordinary explanation. The interplay of natural elements with these unexplained occurrences creates an atmosphere of suspense and intrigue. Mist, darkness, and still water combine to challenge perception, transforming simple reflections into ghostly shapes, and subtle sounds into messages carried by the wind. Even the smallest disturbance can appear significant, magnified by the Lakia's quiet and expansive environment. Visitors leave with a lasting sense of awe and unease, recognizing that Pakigama Lake is a place where the ordinary and the extraordinary coexist seamlessly. Ultimately, Pakigama Lake is a landscape of beauty entwined with mystery. Its serene waters conceal figures in the mist, whispering cries, and laughter. Boats that move without cause, and shadows that glide silently along docks. The lake remains a space where natural splendor and unexplained phenomena converge. A place that invites reflection, respect, and an awareness of forces just beyond human understanding. Each visit to Pakigama Lake offers a unique encounter, an opportunity to witness subtle, unexplained occurrences that leave a lasting impression. The figures, sounds, and shadows remind those who venture here that the world still holds mysteries, and that some places are meant to be observed with curiosity, patience, and a quiet acknowledgement of the unseen. The lake continues to guard its secrets, inviting visitors to experience its beauty and enigmatic presence with both wonder and caution. Prior Lake in Scott County is a place of serene beauty during the day. Its waters glimmer under sunlight, reflecting the surrounding trees and the open sky. Families walk along the shoreline, fishermen cast their lines, and kayakers glide across the calm surface. Yet as dusk falls and the last rays of sunlight fade, the lake transforms into a place heavy with unseen presence and quiet unease. Shadowy figures are said to appear along the shoreline at night. They stand silently, their forms blending with the darkness, watching from the edge of the water. Their presence is subtle at first, a flicker in the corner of vision, yet undeniable to those who notice. The figures often vanish when approached, leaving only the impression that something is observing from just beyond reach. Visitors often report hearing whispers carried on the wind. These whispers are soft, almost inaudible, yet unmistakable. Names are called, sometimes familiar, sometimes strange, floating across the water. Sometimes the names are spoken in hushed tones, other times they're screamed into the wind. The sound seems to come from multiple directions, from the water, the trees, and the mist that gathers over the lake at night. It is a sound that unsettles, drawing attention while resisting understanding. A sudden chill often accompanies the presence of the lake after dark. Some visitors feel icy touches on their arms or shoulders, fleeting but intense. The cold is not merely air, but a sensation that moves with intent, tracing patterns across the skin. Leaving a lingering awareness, a reminder that the night at Prior Lake is not as peaceful as the day might suggest. The water itself seems alive in the dark hours. Ripples appear across its surface with no wind to disturb it. Small waves spread outward, as if something beneath the water is stirring. The lake reflects the moonlight, yet shapes sometimes appear that do not belong, shadows that move independently of any known object. Even the calmest night holds a subtle motion that is impossible to ignore. Trees along the shore frame the lake in darkness. Their branches sway in the wind, yet movements seem exaggerated, almost deliberate. Shadows stretch unnaturally, blending with the silhouettes of unseen figures. The forest feels like it is part of the Lakia's presence, an extension of the mystery that surrounds the water. Every rustle of leaves and snap of a branch seems amplified in the quiet night. The combination of water, shadows, and whispers creates an atmosphere heavy with tension. Each visitor becomes acutely aware of their surroundings, eyes scanning the dark edges of the lake for signs of movement. The ordinary sounds of night become imbued with uncertainty. And even familiar areas feel strange and unsettling. Prior Lake is transformed after sunset into a place where the ordinary and the supernatural seem to coexist. At times, the lake's mysteries are. Ripples may converge toward a dock. Or spread outward from an empty space. Shadows appear to linger at the edges. Of vision retreating when fully observed. Whispers sometimes grow louder, forming patterns. Or repeating phrases that fade just as quickly. The unpredictability adds to the tension, creating an environment where the natural laws seem suspended. Visitors describe a sense of being watched even in open spaces. The lake seems to hold memory and presence beyond what can be explained. Every movement of water, every whisper of wind, every shadow at the shoreline contributes to the impression that Prior Lake is alive with unseen forces. The experience is both captivating and unnerving, drawing attention while instilling caution. The transformation of Prior Lake at night is not limited to sound or sight. The air itself carries a weight, a tangible sense of something lingering. Breathing feels different, cooler and heavier, as though the lake and its surroundings hold a consciousness that responds to those nearby. Even the most skeptical visitors report an unease that cannot be attributed to imagination alone. Despite its haunting qualities, Prior Lake maintains a quiet beauty. The moonlight glimmers on the water, the silhouettes of trees frame the horizon, and the sounds of the night create a rhythm unique to this place. It is a lake where curiosity and caution coexist, where visitors are drawn to explore yet reminded of the presence that dwells within its shadows. By morning, the lake returns to its daytime calm. Ripples settle, shadows vanish, and the air warms with sunlight. Yet for those who have witnessed the night at Prior Lake, the memory remains. The whispers, the figures, the icy to chesa, they linger in thought, leaving a sense that the Lakia's mysteries are never fully gone. Only waiting for the next visitor to step onto the shore after dark. Prior Lake continues to captivate and unsettle in equal measure. It is a place where the ordinary meets the extraordinary. Where shadows and whispers shape the night. Each visitor leaves with a story. A lingering chill. And the knowledge that the lake, the water, and the surrounding forest are never truly empty. The night at Prior Lake holds its secrets. And its watchers. A quiet reminder. That some places hold more than beauty, they hold the presence of what cannot be seen. Lake George in Hubbard County stretches quietly across the landscape, its waters calm yet brimming with an unseen energy. As night falls, the surface of the lake seems to transform, reflecting the moonlight in shimmering streaks that ripple as though something beneath stirs with intent. Figures drift silently across the water, their movements deliberate and almost human, yet impossible to approach. They vanish as quickly as they appear, leaving only the faintest impression of their presence. Boats tied to the docks or anchored near the shore often rock gently, though no wind stirs the air and no current moves the water. Oars lift and fall as if guided by invisible hands, creating a sense that the lake itself is alive. The quiet lapping of waves against the hull seems to echo with the Lakia's memory, holding traces of events long past, stories of those who have crossed these waters and never returned. Whispers echo from the trees along the shoreline. They are soft at first, blending with the sounds of water and the rustle of leaves. But over time they grow more distinct. Words are never fully clear. Yet they stir a sense of recognition. As if the voices are calling to those who have lingered too long. The whispers follow visitors along paths and docks. Always present yet impossible to locate. Reflections in the water add to the unease. Faces appear just beneath the surface, pale and indistinct. Watching without movement. Pale and indistinct. Watching without movement. When approached, they fade instantly, leaving no trace of their presence. The fleeting glimpses are enough to unsettle those who see them, creating a feeling that the lake preserves memories and secrets that it will never release. The surrounding forest amplifies the Lakia's haunting presence. A snapping branch, a rustle of leaves, or the movement of water can make the imagination blur the line between reality and the unknown. A subtle pressure that raises hairs and quickens the pulse. Visitors often describe sudden drops in temperature near the water's edge, chills that seem to emanate directly from the lake. Even on warm summer nights, the air can feel icy, brushing against the skin like fingers reaching out from the shadows. The sensation is accompanied by the feeling of being followed, footsteps echoing softly behind those who walk along the shore or pier. Lake George carries a quiet history that contributes to its eerie reputation. Tales of lost travelers, unexplained disappearances, and voices carried across the water for generations have become part of the Lakia's identity. These stories circulate quietly among locals and visitors, reinforcing the sense that this body of water is a threshold, a place where the natural and the supernatural intersect. Mist often rises from the lake, curling around trees and docks, cloaking the shoreline in a gray haze. Within this fog, figures appear more clearly, yet remain untouchable and fleeting. The mist carries voices and shapes, distorting reality and making it impossible to distinguish where the land ends and the supernatural begins. Visitors often feel a subtle disorientation, a sense that the lake exists outside of normal time and space. Even during the day, the lake retains an otherworldly presence. Shadows appear in the water, and boats seem to drift with a life of their own. The surrounding forest casts strange patterns across the shore. And sudden breezes ripple over the water without warning. The lake preserves an energy that is at once mesmerizing and unsettling, an awareness of events that refuse to fade into memory. Those who linger along the shore leave with impressions that are difficult to explain. The drifting figures. The whispering trees. The rocking boats. And the fleeting faces beneath the water create an experience that lingers in the mind. Lake George is not merely a lake. It is a keeper of memories. A place where the present brushes against echoes of the past. And where each visitor senses the weight of stories that persist in silence. As night deepens, the shadows along the shoreline grow longer. And the whispers seem more urgent. Boats rock in place. And figures drift across the water, fading into the darkness. As if the lake itself has a will of its own. Reflections of faces long gone shimmer beneath the surface. A reminder that Lake George is a place where memories remain. And where the past continues to move through the present. In subtle, unexplainable ways. The lake holds its secrets carefully, revealing them only in fleeting moments to those who watch and listen. The mist, the shadows, and the water combine to create an atmosphere of quiet suspense. A place where visitors cannot help but feel the presence of something unseen, waiting silently beneath the surface and among the trees, observing and remembering. Lake Harriet in Hennepin County stretches quietly under a canopy of trees, its waters reflecting the soft glow of evening. Cabins line the shoreline, their windows catching the last light of day. By day, the lake is serene, a place for leisurely walks, canoeing, and the gentle rhythm of life. Yet as darkness falls, the ordinary gives way to an atmosphere that is subtle, unsettling, and deeply mysterious. Shadowy figures have been seen in the windows of cabins near the lake. They do not move as ordinary people do, yet their presence is unmistakable. Shapes in the glass, silhouettes that seem aware, lingering just beyond the reach of light. Sometimes these forms vanish when approached, leaving only the faintest impression of their existence. The feeling of being observed lingers long after the figures disappear, a silent reminder that the lake holds more than water and trees. Soft laughter or crying drifts across the lake on quiet nights. The laughter is fleeting, bright and teasing, while the crying is low and sorrowful, mingling with the wind in the trees. Both sounds blend with the natural ambience of the lake, creating an experience that is at once beautiful and haunting. Boats sometimes drift silently across the water with no one aboard. They move with purpose, guided by an unseen force, and stop as abruptly as they begin. Visitors watching from the docks or the shoreline report feeling a chill as the boats glide by. The water remains otherwise calm, yet the gentle ripples that follow suggest a presence beneath the surface, observing or perhaps guiding the motion above. Ripples appear in the still water as if someone has stepped into the lake unseen. No footprints mark the shore, and no sound accompanies the movement, yet the disturbance is unmistakable. The water reacts, forming concentric waves that reflect the moonlight in shifting patterns. Each ripple creates a fleeting connection between the natural and the unexplained, leaving witnesses with a sense that the lake itself remembers and responds. The surrounding forest adds layers to the mystery. Trees sway with a rhythm that seems almost aware. And shadows stretch in ways that defy ordinary perception. Figures have been glimpsed drifting among the trunks, vanishing when approached. Whispers rise from the underbrush, carrying words that cannot be deciphered. The environment amplifies subtle sensations, making even the smallest sounds or movements feel profound. Visitors report a feeling of tension and anticipation that grows as night deepens. Every creak of wood on the docks, every rustle in the foliage, commands attention. The mind searches for explanation, yet often finds none. The lake and its surroundings hold a quiet insistence, as though they are alive with memories, preserving moments that cannot be seen but are nonetheless present. At the cabins, shadows linger in corners and along hallways. Doors that appear closed seem slightly ajar. And the faint sound of movement can be heard across empty rooms. Guests feel a presence nearby, subtle and unrelenting. Each encounter leaves a lingering awareness. A sense that the spaces are shared with something unseen. The shoreline itself seems to shift under observation. Small disturbances in sand or gravel, subtle changes in the placement of objects, create the impression of an invisible hand at work. Ripples in the water, floating leaves, and drifting boats all hint at forces beyond the ordinary. Even the reflection of the moon on the lake seems to ripple with life, casting moving patterns that suggest more than mere light. Time at Lake Harriet takes on a different quality at night. Minutes stretch, shadows deepen, and every sound is magnified. The interplay of light and dark, stillness and movement, draws visitors into an acute awareness of the environment. Shapes in the water, figures in the windows, and whispers in the trees combine to create an atmosphere that is immersive and unforgettable. The lake maintains its quiet mystery well into the early hours. Always on the periphery of vision. And ripples move across the water with no visible cause. Keeps the lake suspended between reality and the unknown. Lake Harriet offers a delicate tension between curiosity and caution. Guests are drawn by the beauty of its waters and the charm of its cabins. Yet the subtle, haunting elements of the night leave an indelible mark. Visitors feel the presence of shadowy figures, hear laughter and crying carried on the wind, and witness boats and ripples that suggest a world just beyond perception. By dawn, the lake seems to settle, returning to its daytime tranquility. Light spills across the water, and the cabins regain their ordinary appearance. Yet those who have stayed overnight carry with them the memory of whispers, shadows, and movements that cannot be fully explained. The experience lingers, a quiet reminder that Lake Harriet is more than a scenic retreat. It is a place where the natural and the mysterious coexist, leaving visitors with a sense of awe and quiet wonder that stays long after they depart. In this space of calm and subtle haunting, the reflections in the water, the shadows in the cabins, and the whispers on the wind form a tapestry of unseen presence. Each visitor becomes a witness to the interplay of light and darkness, of seen and unseen, and leaves with the knowledge that some mysteries are meant to endure, waiting for those willing to notice. Pekigama Dam Lake in Itasca County stretches across the horizon, its waters calm yet strangely commanding. The dam stands as a sentinel, holding back the vast expanse of the lake while casting long shadows across the water during sunrise and sunset. On ordinary days, the scene is serene, with sunlight dancing on ripples and the wind whispering through nearby pines. Yet for those who linger, there is an unmistakable sense of something unseen, an energy that moves through the mist and shadows around the dam. Figures appear at the edges of the dam. Some appear tall and human, others are vague, shadowy forms that seem to hover just above the water. Others are vague, shadowy forms that seem to hover just above the water. They move without sound, their intentions unclear. Their intentions unclear, vanishing whenever one tries to approach. Witnesses describe a strange feeling, as though the figures are aware of every step. As though the figures are aware of every step, observing silently from the boundary between solid ground and the flowing water. Whispers echo across the water. They rise unexpectedly, carried on the wind, blending with the natural sounds of the lake. At times they are soft and mournful, at others quick and almost playful, intertwining in ways that unsettle those who hear them. The origin is never visible, leaving an eerie uncertainty. Visitors cannot determine whether the whispers are echoes of the past, fragments of memory, or something entirely otherworldly, yet the sound lingers long after the source has faded. Some feel icy hands brush past them. The cold is sudden, a sharp chill that touches arms and shoulders, seemingly without cause. It is not a breeze from the open water, but a distinct, localized cold that leaves a lingering sensation. Those who experience it describe a momentary shiver, a heightened awareness of their surroundings, and an undeniable impression that the lake is more than a body of water. The sensation fades as quickly as it appears, leaving only the memory of its unexpected presence. Boats rock as if something invisible is moving below. Even on calm days with no wind or current, vessels tied to docks or floating near the dam sway gently, as though disturbed by unseen hands. Ripples form in the water where no one has stepped, small waves radiating outward, hinting at movement beneath the surface. Fishermen and visitors have noted the strange timing of these motions, occurring in moments of silence when the lake should be still, reinforcing the impression that Pekigama Dam Lake exists between the ordinary and the unknown. The surrounding landscape intensifies the lake's enigmatic nature. Forested banks rise sharply, their trees casting twisting shadows that stretch across the water. Fog often clings to the edges of the dam and nearby coves, reducing visibility and making the lake appear larger, more secretive, and full of hidden corners. Each twist of the shoreline, every shadowed inlet, becomes a stage for the subtle movements and sounds that define the lake's mysterious reputation. Night brings an entirely different atmosphere. Sounds that are imperceptible during the daya. Soft creaks of boards, gentle lapping against the dam, or distant whispersa become more pronounced. Shadows lengthen, and the energy of the lake seems more immediate, almost sentient. Visitors report heightened awareness, a feeling that the lake itself is observing, responding to their presence in ways they cannot fully explain. Local accounts describe sudden appearances of shadowy figures along the dam. Whispers that rise and fall unpredictably, the sensation of icy touches. Boats that move without visible cause across the lake's calm surface. These phenomena occur across seasons, in the stillness of winter, the warmth of summer, and the quiet of early spring. The lake's mysteries are not bound by time, and each encounter adds another layer to the long history of unexplained experiences at Pekigama Dam Lake. The interplay of natural beauty with unexplained phenomena creates an immersive, almost cinematic atmosphere. Mist, darkness, and calm water transform ordinary sights and sounds into subtle signals, blending reflection, movement, and auditory cues into a complex tapestry of mystery. Every ripple, shadow, and whisper contributes to a sense of tension and curiosity, drawing visitors to observe carefully and consider the unseen. Pakigama Dam Lake remains a place of both allure and caution. Its waters conceal figures in the mist, whispers that echo across the lake, and movements that defy explanation. The lake offers a space where natural beauty and unexplained occurrences converge, inviting reflection, respect, and a heightened awareness of forces that lie just beyond perception. Every visit presents a unique experience. The shadowy figures, whispers, icy touches, and subtle motions remind those who come here that the world still holds mysteries. Pakigama Dam Lake guards its secrets with quiet patience, allowing glimpses of the unknown while preserving its enigmatic presence. Visitors leave with a lasting sense of wonder and unease, aware that the lake is more than it appears, a living landscape where the ordinary meets the extraordinary. Lake Sakata in Le County is a tranquil body of water by day, surrounded by dense forest and open marshlands. Its calm surface reflects the sky, and wildlife moves quietly along the shoreline. Canoes glide gently, fishermen cast lines, and families enjoy the peaceful environment. Canoes glide gently, fishermen cast lines, and families enjoy the peaceful environment. Yet as evening falls and shadows stretch across the water, the lake transforms into a place of quiet unease, where the ordinary seems to shift into something more enigmatic. As night descends, shadowy forms are said to appear along the shoreline. They linger just beyond the reach of sight, standing silently in the dim light. Sometimes they seem close enough to touch, yet vanish when approached. The figures are subtle, their presence felt more than seen. A reminder that the lake holds mysteries hidden beneath its calm exterior. Visitors often report hearing whispers carried on the night air. The sounds are faint, almost inaudible, yet unmistakable to those who listen. Names are spoken softly, voices overlapping with the rustling of leaves and the gentle lapping of water. Whispers seem to come from every direction at once, from the trees, the water, and the mist that rises from the lake. They create an atmosphere of suspense, a quiet tension that lingers long after the sounds fade. Soft footsteps are sometimes heard along the shore or on the wooden docks. The steps are light but deliberate, echoing across the empty spaces. Those who hear them often find no one there, leaving only the sense that something invisible is moving alongside them. The combination of whispers and footsteps adds to the feeling that the lake itself is alive with unseen observers. The water of Lake Sakata behaves strangely at night. Boats left moored sometimes shift or tilt without wind or current. Ripples appear across the surface where no movement should exist, spreading outward in concentric circles. Even the calmest water seems to respond to an unseen force, reflecting shapes and shadows that vanish upon closer inspection. Every subtle motion draws attention, creating the impression that the lake holds secrets just below the surface. Trees and brush along the shoreline frame the water in darkness. Branches sway in the breeze, yet their movement often seems intentional, almost like gestures. Shadows stretch and bend, forming shapes that blend with the night. Every sound of snapping twigs or rustling leaves is amplified in the quiet, adding to the sensation that the surroundings are observing, reacting to those who venture near the water. The atmosphere around Lake Sakata at night is heavy with tension. Each visitor becomes acutely aware of the environment, senses heightened by the subtle presence around them. The ordinary sounds of nocturnal life take on a new meaning, and even familiar sights feel strange under the cover of darkness. The lake transforms into a place where the natural and the supernatural seem to coexist, each step and glance filled with possibility and apprehension. Some visitors describe the sensation of being watched even in open areas. The shadows, the whispers, the shifting water, it all contributes to the impression that Lake Sakata is alive in a way that cannot be explained. The presence is not malevolent but vigilant, an ever-present reminder of the unseen history and lingering energy that inhabit the area. Occasionally, phenomena become more pronounced. Ripples converge toward empty boats. Shadows appear to linger at the water's edge. Whispers intensify, repeating words or names that vanish as quickly as they came. The lake holds its secrets close, revealing them only in fleeting glimpses and subtle signs, leaving visitors both fascinated and uneasy. The unpredictability of these occurrences heightens the sense of mystery. Despite the haunting qualities, the lake maintains a quiet beauty. The stillness of the night contrasts with the subtle movements and sounds, creating a unique rhythm that is captivating and eerie. Lake Sakata draws visitors with its serene charm by day and its mysterious presence by night, offering an experience that is both peaceful and unsettling. By morning, the lake returns to its familiar tranquility. The water settles, shadows retreat, and the whispers fade with the rising sun. Yet for those who have walked the shoreline after dark, the memory of shadowy forms, shifting boats, and unseen watchers remains. The night at Lake Sakata leaves a lingering impression, a sense that the calm surface hides a presence that is always there, waiting for the next visitor to step close to the water. Lake Sakata continues to captivate and unsettle in equal measure. It is a place where whispers, shadows, and ripples form a delicate interplay of mystery. Each visitor leaves with a story, a subtle chill, and the understanding that the lake, its shoreline, and surrounding woods are never truly empty. At night, Lake Sakata transforms, revealing that even the calmest waters may hold secrets beyond comprehension. A quiet reminder that some places are watched, and some mysteries are never fully explained. Leech Lake Bay in Cass County lies quietly beneath the evening sky, its waters deep, still, and seemingly endless. The surface reflects the fading light, but the calm is deceptive, hinting at a presence that is not seen yet profoundly felt. Mist rises from the lake in delicate threads, curling over the water and drifting toward the shore. Within this haze, figures move silently, their forms blurred and insubstantial, appearing and vanishing without warning. Visitors often report hearing cries echoing across the water, faint at first, then growing in intensity before fading into silence. The sounds seem to come from no particular direction, as if carried by the wind and the lake itself. Some say the voices are mournful, others describe them as urgent, calling out to anyone who dares to linger near the edge. These echoes create an unsettling atmosphere, a reminder that Leech Lake Bay holds secrets it will never fully reveal. The air along the shore is often cool and damp, carrying the scent of water and pine. Visitors sometimes feel invisible fingers brush their arms, a sudden chill that seems deliberate and fleeting. The sensation is enough to make the hairs on the back of the neck rise, leaving a sense of being observed, followed, or tested. Even when the sun is high, the lake exerts a quiet pressure, a weight that is felt more than seen. Boats anchored along the shoreline rock gently, though no wind stirs the air. Paddles dip into the water as if guided by unseen hands, creating ripples that spread across the bay. The lake seems aware of every movement, every whisper, as if it monitors the living and the departed alike. Footsteps along the shore echo differently here, heavier or lighter depending on the mood of the water and the mist. Reflections in the surface of Leech Lake Bay add to its enigmatic presence. Faces and shapes appear just beneath the water, pale and indistinct, watching silently. When approached, they vanish without a trace, leaving only ripples that slowly fade. The fleeting glimpses are unnerving, suggesting that the lake preserves memories and moments that defy explanation. The surrounding forests deepen the mystery. Tall pines and dense undergrowth create shadows that stretch to the water's edge. Every movement, every rustle of leaves, is amplified in the silence. The mist drifts through the trees, merging land and water into a single, shifting landscape. Shadows lengthen, shapes appear where none should exist, and visitors feel the weight of a presence that is patient, watchful, and eternal. Local stories speak of lost travelers, of people who ventured too far into the mist and never returned. Boats found adrift, footprints that end abruptly at the water's edge, and whispers in the night all add to the lore. These tales are shared quietly, with a sense of respect and caution, reinforcing the understanding that Leech Lake Bay is not just a body of water, but a keeper of histories, both remembered and forgotten. Even during the day, the lake exudes a strange energy. Shadows seem to move independently of the sun, and ripples form without wind. Visitors report a sense of anticipation, a feeling that the water watches their every move. Sounds from the surrounding forest carry across the bay in unusual ways. And the mist, when it rises, conceals more than it reveals. The interplay of water, fog, and forest creates an atmosphere that is immersive and haunting. As night falls, the Lakia's presence becomes more pronounced. Figures appear along the mist-laden shoreline, shifting just beyond clear sight. Whispers echo softly from unseen sources, carrying a mix of warning and invitation. Boats rock gently in the darkness, and the water seems to move with intention. Even the most skeptical visitor cannot ignore the feeling that the lake is alive, that it remembers those who come and those who disappear. The final impression of Leech Lake Bay is one of reverence and unease. Its still waters, drifting figures, and whispering winds combine to create a space where the natural and the supernatural coexist. The lake keeps its secrets carefully, offering glimpses but never full explanations. Visitors leave with an awareness that some experiences cannot be captured fully, and that the bay holds a power that stretches beyond time and understanding. Leech Lake Bay watches silently, its depths holding memories and presences that linger long after the mist has lifted. Those who enter may feel the weight of the past brush against them, the cold touch of unseen hands, and the quiet gaze of figures that vanish when approached. It is a place where the living and the lingering meet, where every ripple, shadow, and whisper carries the echo of what has come before. The lake is patient, the lake is deep, and the lake remembers. Thank you for joining me tonight on this journey through 25 haunted lakes in Minnesota. The waters are calm by day, but at night, they hold shadows, whispers, and restless spirits. Some who visit these lakes disappear, leaving only ripples behind. The forest and water seem alive, watching every movement, remembering every soul. If you ever find yourself alone near a quiet lake in Minnesota, remember the stories you heard tonight. Respect the waters, heed the shadows, and beware, for some may never return. Sleep well tonight, if you can.